Welcome to Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union. It's Raiders Content Day as we're live from the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center. JT along with Q Myers and the great Eric Allen. Do we have the best seats in the house?
Awesome.
There's no doubt.
Unbelievable setup today. Thanks for joining us for the next 3.5 hours. We're going to have the GM, several of the players, as the Raider players are here for Content Day, and they're going to be taking pictures, and they're going to be doing video hits, and they're going to be jumping in with us. And Q, this is a big day because you break down this offseason into weeks and months, and it feels like it's really getting going around here.
It does, and right now it has a nice little bit of a buzz here in the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center, and you know, OTAs have been going on, mandatory minicamp is going on this week, and so I feel like these guys are really starting to realize that even though the season isn't really, it's about a little less than 100 days away, it feels like it's right around the corner. These guys are in their uniforms. It's like the first day of school. You're getting reunited with your friends again. It's all good.
EA, for you, this is exciting. You're always around this organization as a former great player. What was it like for you and your family? You're 100 days out, then you're 80 days out. You were always training in the offseason, just like these young men.
Yeah, it's an important time for these young guys to kind of get their game right. When you're talking about having over a little under 100 days, you want to really work on yourself, the strengths and weaknesses of your game. You want to do a lot of film review. So it's an important time for you as a player to get in your practice, but get your own time in, whatever that is. I used to shoot hoop, and I'm not going to – so it would really help me because it's competitive. It's something that you can use all those skill sets to be able to help you on the football field. So, you know, you have to find a way to be passionate about what you're doing. You don't want to get burned out so early, but it's really important to focus on those little things. We talk about interceptions and catching the ball and challenging yourself that way. So a lot of those individual drills you would try and do to help yourself during the season.
How do the rookies kind of pace themselves at this point, right? You don't want to get too excited and too fired up, you know, and prepare yourself, but at the same time, you want to be prepared.
Right. Being professional is about being in condition. That's the most important area that you can just focus on and concentrate on from day one, is being in condition. And that's after practice, after OTAs, getting your steps in, your gassers, or whatever it's going to be. You have to be in condition. So when you get your opportunity, you're not tired, your tongue's not hanging out your mouth. You're able to make some plays deep in practice when other guys are tired.
Well, one big thing around this organization, attendance never seems to be a problem. And I think it has to do with this facility. As you take a look at what's behind us and what's outside at the practice fields, the offices, players want to be here, Q. And, you know, Max tells us that all the time. Working out here in the offseason is a privilege. Mark Davis stepped up, I think, built the best facility in all of sports right there with the Star in Dallas. So attendance never seems to be a problem, especially under this regime, to get everyone here and get them to work out.
There's no doubt. We were out at the OTAs. We saw the practices, and there was a full attendance, right? I mean, and again, these are voluntary, but these guys are here. Coming to work is a privilege. Like, they're excited about like you said, the building, the weight room, the camaraderie with the guys, obviously the cafeteria, and I mean, just all the facilities. And they reference this. I mean, the only reason I know this is because they reference it in the meetings. It's like, hey, coming in here and competing and getting your mind right and your body right is a pleasure. It's fun, and we all know when it's fun to go to work, usually you work at a better level.
EA, there's a lot of off-season additions here, and I'm excited about it because I think they upgraded the team in several positions. Now, we'll wait Jimmy Garoppolo with the procedure he had. I've been around him a bunch the last couple of days. He's excited to be here. Tyree Wilson is working through his injury and his rehab overall. But if you look at who is here now, that to me is not a massive turnover, but it's pretty big. And I like to study who was here, who remains, and who was brought in. To me, the Silver and Black are better on paper than the team last year. They needed to be, winning 6 games, but I like what they've done. Let's start with the quarterback and Jimmy Garoppolo, EA, assuming he comes back healthy and is ready to go.
I think he will. And again, someone who understands the system, that's the first check mark. And you spoke about this earlier, is just his presence around the guys. And in every locker room, he seems to be a well-liked player.
Yeah.
And that means so much from that position, because at the quarterback position, automatically you're the leader of the football team. And if everyone gravitates around you and feels positive, you're better off. So in that fourth quarter drive, everyone's comfortable, kind of understands exactly what's expected of them and what's expected of you. And I think Jimmy G, wherever he's been, has been one of those great locker room guys. It's not a quarterback, I'm over here, and the rest of the guys over here, I think he does an outstanding job of making sure that everyone who's on this roster is going to feel like they're appreciated and a part of this football team.
Never a situation where he's bigger than the rest of the
it's
guys,
important.
right? And so
It's
even
important.
when you're not working out and going through the physical stuff, just to be in the building and communicating and getting to know each other and getting that camaraderie.
And Q and JT, it's difficult to do because their daily regimen, they spend a ton of time in the meeting room with the coach. It's not like DB, defensive tackle, whatever, where you get the film and then you kind of hang out, go to the weight room. They're consistently, always in meetings, trying to get edges here or there, trying to make sure their steps are right, making sure the lineman understands protection and those things. So it's very difficult. It's something that the quarterbacks have to kind of be in their aura already, that, hey, I'm going to make a point to go to the locker room and hang out with the DBs or hang out with the receivers.
When I followed his whole career, whenever he is healthy, and he's been banged up a few times, he wins. His regular season winning percentage, Q, and winning 4 playoff games, he was brought in to upgrade this team in the red zone and be more efficient, taking on a bigger burden on tougher plays, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11, to get out of a play, get into a play, and be more efficient. That has to happen because Josh McDaniels is counting on that because he knows the system, as Eric said.
There's no doubt about it. And the weapons that he has, especially in the red zone, and you see a guy like the tight end, Michael Mayer, that they're bringing in from Notre Dame, and how effective he was in the red zone in college. And, I mean, he's a guy that'll make plays happen, right? I mean, you throw him the ball, and it's in his vicinity, he's going to get his hands on the ball. I mean, that's just who he is. He's going to get his hands on the ball. I think he's going to be really effective in the red zone.
The other guy I want to talk about is Jakobi Meyers. I think they have an impact player in the slot on the outside who can have a monster season if Devontae, EA, is doubled, and he's always going to be doubled, and Devontae can break the double. But now to have someone who can go on the inside, could go up top, come back to the ball, I think he's going to be very important. I don't know how many receptions he's going to have, but he's got to have big ones, impactful ones that'll keep the defense on the sideline.
Yeah, I think the impact is tremendous. I think all of these football players right now who are coming on this football team have a couple things in common, and one of them is versatility. You can put Jakobi inside, outside. He's a really good competitive guy who's going to compete on those 50-50 balls, and those things are important. Understanding the system, I think we all kind of start with that, but it's more than that. It's about his competitive spirit on the practice field. And one thing that this football team in the last year and a half has proven that they want guys to come out and practice really hard. So they know exactly what they're going to get on Sunday or Thursday or whenever the game is going to be. And I think Jakobi has proven that over the course of his career. We want a productive year from him because it is very important as your number 2 receiver to be able to beat that number 2 cornerback, to be able to take that safety who's covering you, take him to task, and really give opportunities, for Devontae to be singled up.
The thing about it is with Jakobi as well, he mentioned, and this is going back to the familiarity with Josh McDaniels' system, is he said Josh is going to give you the answers to the test.
Yeah.
You're right, and you just got to go out there and execute it. Just go ahead and take it. So I think that being able to be that familiar with Josh McDaniels and what he wants to do is going to help him in a major way too.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic what he's been able to do, and as Devontae said, possibly being undervalued where he was just in New England, coming here where they can use him a little bit more. So I like this addition. I think he's very important. He's coming into the prime of his career, and he's going to be essential. I think the offense is loaded. As I said this.
Agreed.
We'll get into the offensive line in a bit, but when you look at the addition of Jakobi Meyers, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mayer at tight end, some of the depth at wide receiver, EA, the depth at wide receiver to make this team, make this team to be the 5th, 6th wide receiver and get some reps. It's like that every year. I don't put too much into the 6th wide receiver because this is Devontae's town.
Yeah,
right? He's going to get all the looks. You got Hunter Renfrow, you got Jakobi. But, wow, on the back end of this, who's going to make the roster coming out of the preseason? I love the depth of this offense, especially on the outside.
Love it, love it. And one thing that we, again, go back to is the versatility of all these players to be able to line up inside, outside. That makes your offense just that more potent when you don't know exactly where that player is going to line up on those specific plays. You can interchange the X, the Z, the W. Everyone can play the slot. We understand the route running of most of our receivers, the understanding of the offense, but I just love the competitive nature of that room, and that's going to help this football team be more consistent and better, during the middle of the season.
How much is that that competition with the wide receiver room? How
Man.
much is that going to sharpen the defense?
It will, and you will hear the chirping, and that's good stuff.
Yeah.
To hear that competition and guys going back and forth, just to find somebody on this football team who feels they can match up with Devontae.
Right. Yeah.
In practice, every day. And I think that's really what it's about. As a defensive guy, you're on a football team, and I played with the great Jerry Rice and Tim Brown, and Jerry, his practice habits were just incredible. A lot like Devontae, a lot like Hunter. You want to get that competition.
Right.
At the end of practice, Jerry would call you, hey, let's take a couple more one-on-ones. I'm like, man, practice is over, bro. It's like, no, you got me on that one. I need to run this route on you. And so he has a quarterback out there willing to throw, and that's the kind of competitive nature this football team needs going into the next season.
Q, you were out at OTAs. We're going to have Brian Hoyer coming up here as he's QB1 until Jimmy G's ready to go. What do you see at OTAs with the ability that you had to see a little bit of the practices? What was your big takeaway?
The biggest thing is everything was going faster, right? I mean, I was out there a year ago as well, and of course that was when Josh McDaniels and company are brand new, so they were trying to get everybody on the same page. This time it looked like they were going from station to station to station a lot quicker with a lot more sense of urgency. You saw guys like Max Crosby running, and every little spot that he got to, he kicked the ball, right? He just wanted to make sure he was first there, and Devontae first in line, making sure everyone got, so it's like the players were taking that leadership role to another level this year.
Set the tone.
I look at the OTAs and the limited time as they collectively bargained, EA, and you didn't play that long ago, but the league has changed now.
Yeah.
The
Thanks,
league has
JT.
changed now.
Long time ago, JT. Come on now.
Not long. You don't have a lot of time with them on the field.
You don't. And those OTAs, again, is to put something on film. So hopefully these young players can look at that film and then really focus on those techniques, the footwork. How many steps does it take to get out of that out route that needs to be at 5 yards? Do I take 3? Do I take 5? Am I stuttering at the line of scrimmage? So it's really an opportunity to start to get the base level, right? So the coaches understand, here's where we are and here's where we need to get. So afterwards, we can really get into exactly what you need to do to try and make this football team. And of course, the great Max Crosby has great practice habits. Everyone in that DN room is going to have to ramp up. Because they've never, I don't care where you've been in college, they've never been on a football field in a practice like Max Crosby. He's trying to get off first, he's trying to finish first, and that's the kind of attitude we need.
A lot of the alumni, we're going to get into it a little bit later on. When the alumni were out here, it was a really special event for a couple of days, and Phil Villapiano pulled me aside and said, I've never seen anything like Max. And I'm like, wait a second, Phil, you played with Otis Sistrunk, Ted Hendricks.
Right.
You played with the greats. And he said, just something about him, the energy that he brings. And I think Max is really important going forward as the face of the franchise on the defensive side. His practice habits is what this organization loves. Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels are still new, Q.
Right.
They want to get their guys in. We all know that this roster deconstruction that happened last year as the season was in progress was to get to this year's training camp with more of their guys who are going to follow their system a little bit better, and Max fits that.
He does, to a T. And you mentioned the alumni, and I had an opportunity last week to talk with Matt Millen, the great Matt Millen, and he let me know that, guys like Max Crosby, guys like Devontae Adams, Chandler Jones, they find ways to keep pushing themselves and keep getting better. And okay, I'm not supposed to be here. He told me a great story about Howie Long, and he says, even to this day, I'll see him, Q, and I'll say, Howie, you're not that good. You're not that good. Just to keep fueling them and keep firing up. And he said, that's what the greats do. He said, that's what I see when I see Max Crosby as a guy who, hey, I'm still a 4th-round pick. I'm supposed to, my number one goal when I get here is supposed to just get a little bit bigger, right? And maybe you'll have an opportunity. Instead, he's taking this team over.
Yeah, I've been wanting to ask you this. With Tyree Wilson, as he's coming along and is going to be ready, number 7th pick overall, Chandler Jones all of a sudden is a very unique player.
Yeah.
Because he'll play on the outside. He can kind of jump inside from time to time, but he'll be rested more. He started slow last year, period.
Yep.
And he finished strong. I thought he finished strong in the last 6 games. What are your expectations with Chandler Jones now that there's a new young stud coming in the first round, and Max is always making everyone work?
Yeah, I think what we're looking at here is an opportunity for Chandler to really teach this young player because they're both really long, right? When you look at these defensive ends we have, everyone is long. So they fit this mold where, you're going to be able to stretch their arms out and be able to stretch the football field. He's going to have to find a way to learn from Chandler as Chandler is trying to be more consistent throughout the year. Yes, he finished off well, but he didn't start well. And I think that really gnawed at Chandler all season long. He knows what kind of football player he is and what he can be. And now he has a young player behind him who's going to have opportunities to get in on those pass rushing situations and really earn his spot. And I think that's the one thing that continues to come out of this office, this building, is you got to earn your spot. You got to find a way to get yourself on the football field.
When we come back on Raiders Roundtable, the GM is here. Dave Ziegler is going to join us as we're live from the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center. What a special day, content day, as we continue. Thanks for joining us on Raiders Roundtable.
That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Hey everyone, my name is Akbar Bajabiamila, and I'm here with the great Jim Plunkett. Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
We're here to check out one of the most popular destinations in Las Vegas, Shark Reef at Mandalay Bay. When we visit Vegas to catch our Raiders, it's spots like this that are some of the best places to get out of the heat, learn a little something new, and just have an amazing experiential moment. Jim, what are you most excited about?
I'm excited to see all the animals here.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait. Let's go. This is it. Look at this. You can see them floating around. This is cool. Jim, you ready to go see the Stingray pool?
Let's do it. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, let's go.
What are we going to be doing today?
So today you get the opportunity to feed some of our touch residents here.
Okay.
What do you love about your job?
The fact that we get to bring public education to Las Vegas about marine environments. Great. Even though we're not very far from the ocean, the opportunity to see this amazing sea creatures underwater is just not something that most people have the privilege to do. We have 10-foot sharks.
I'm sorry?
We have 10-foot sharks.
That's you handle that. Okay. Pedro, why are having access to aquariums like this important for the community?
We bring conservation education to the Las Vegas Valley.
Sure.
We're providing that educational environment. Without the oceans, we wouldn't have not only these amazing creatures, but we wouldn't be able to breathe the air that we breathe. We wouldn't have places to recreate.
Tell me, why would Raider fans be interested in coming and see these beautiful creatures here in the aquarium?
Our Raiders fans come and visit us. We're right across the highway, right? So we're very conveniently located. Come and have a nice afternoon with the family. Enjoys the opportunity to visit very unique and unusual creatures.
I think it's amazing because, of course, when are you and where do you ever get a chance to feed stingrays, you know? Adrian, this was so much fun. Thank you so much. This was a good time. I learned a lot, too.
Oh, good. My pleasure.
When you're a part of a team, there are expectations. And one of the things I expect from my team is trust. I work hard to win, and I trust my team to work hard too. That's why I feel good about America First Credit Union. They're my financial team, and I trust that they'll always be there for me and my community. I'm Hunter Renfro. Join me in the America First team today.
60 years in the making, the Raiders now have a permanent place to call home, and the doors are open to get a world-class behind-the-scenes tour of their new home. An attraction unlike any other in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. The Las Vegas Raiders invite you to experience the expertly guided tour that includes exclusive access to areas restricted to only football players, coaches, and staff. For more information, visit AllegiantStadium.com/tours.
You're listening to Upon Further Review. I'm your host, Eddie Pascal.
Good morning, Raider Nation.
Welcome to Raiders Roundtable. JT along with Q Myers.
He dissects the play quickly and makes the move to the football.
greatness. I got the levels to take me above. I am fire, I'm electricity. Forget the haters, cause I'm blowing up. This is my world, this is my glory. Hold my head high, living my story. I am unstoppable, I am a king. I am the one that is born to
make sure that every rep that you do is the best of your ability every single time.
I am the one that is born to win. Born to win. I am the one that is born to win. Here we go, here we go, here we go.
Yeah, come on.
Born to win. Born to win. Born to win. Yes, I was born to win.
Want it from the 20 going in?
Welcome back to Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union, JTQ and Eric Allen, and we bring in the GM of the Silver and Black, Dave Ziegler. Thanks for joining us and providing content on Content Day. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing outstanding, and I'm glad I can contribute.
You are contributing. Appreciate you very much. Let's talk about what's changed since the draft. We recapped it with you on Raider Nation Radio and now OTAs. What are you most excited about?
Yeah, I'm excited about the energy that we have with this team. I think, when we talk about what it means to be a Raider and what we're trying to build here, we're trying to, put as many players on the roster that have a high football intelligence, that are able to operate in critical situations, understand their role within the team, guys that are physically and mentally tough. And guys that have a passion for football and love the process. And I think that's what I'm really excited about this team. We have a lot of guys that love the process. We have a lot of guys that are pulling in the same direction. We're getting tremendous leadership out of, some of our, some of the guys that we expect. And I'm excited about our young guys that we drafted. We're getting, we're seeing a lot of strides that they've made in a short amount of time, from their conditioning to their physical appearance, and then just their performance on the field here during OTAs, which you can only take so much, from that. But it's been good. I feel like we have we're in a different spot than we were a year ago. Partly because there's a lot of guys that are in year 2 in the system, not just the players, but the coaches too, and have an understanding of what the expectations are. The players have an understanding of what the expectations are, and our coaches have an understanding of how to get the most out of these individual players. And so really excited about the energy, the work ethic, and where we're going right now.
That's what I was talking about, the OTAs, and it looked like everything was going faster than it was a year ago. And you mentioned having that second year. How important is it to have those alpha dogs like a Devontae and Max leading the charge in OTAs?
Yeah, it's really important, and they'll both tell you too, and they've told me there's a level of anxiety or stress that they don't have this year when it comes to learning what am I supposed to be doing?
Right.
Yeah.
And so how that goes. There's that thinking process of what am I supposed to be doing? I'm also trying to lead. I'm also trying to do this and that. Now those two guys, in particular, have come in. They know exactly what their role is. They know the offensive scheme, the defensive scheme, and now they're just really focused on getting better individually, but also pulling guys with them.
Yeah.
And they've both done a tremendous job. And Max is he's been out here just working out behind us a second ago. So
showing off the gun.
Yeah, so he's leading the charge, and we're really excited about the leadership we have on this team right now.
I tell you, what's that ideal young player for this Raiders team look like? I mean, his versatility, his competitiveness. What does that ideal young player look like?
Yeah, I think I'd regurgitate a little bit of what I said before, but I think one thing too is we're looking to add guys that have some sort of ability to a level of explosiveness and or a level of disruptiveness in their game. And so that's something that we're looking for, and it comes in different packages.
Right.
It could be a corner that has great length at the line of scrimmage and can disrupt and press man. Yeah. It can be a guy that can disrupt in the kicking game or disrupt as an offensive player. And so, we're looking for that. Versatility is important. the more that you can do. When you pigeonhole yourself, and you're going to have some guys that are one position players on your roster, but the more guys that aren't,
they have to be good too.
They have to be good. And so I'd say that level of explosiveness, disruptiveness, a level of versatility, and like I said, the cultural fabric for when we talk about being a Raider, it's that smart, tough, physical, mentally tough, physical player with a level of explosiveness and a level of disruptiveness, and that's what we're going to preach. And I think we've done a good job of adding those types of players this offseason, but that's what we looked for in the guys that we drafted, and we're really excited about this draft class, their level of maturity and how they've come in as pros from day one. They have a ways to go, but they're off to a good start.
Well, great segue to the defensive line with Tyree, 7th overall, with Chandler Jones. We just spent some time talking about his expectations, and Max, the alpha dog. I'm fascinated by what you have inside. These defensive tackles, how they developed from last year, the ones who were here, to who you brought in this year. Seems like it's going to be a strength of this team. Yeah, we've definitely improved the competition, and we've gotten a lot younger there, too. Between Neil Farrell and Matt Butler last year, we drafted Nestor Silvera in the 7th round. The interior drafted Byron Young in the 3rd round. So it's a much different room, the composition of the room from when we got there to where we're at now. And we're excited about that group. Neil and Matt have done, they've made a lot of changes physically from their rookie year, and their strength, their body comp and things of that nature. They're playing faster. Again, they don't have the pads on yet, so we'll see what it really looks like once we get to training camp. But they've done and improved in areas that they could control in the offseason, and so that's exciting to see. And John Jenkins, we added a veteran guy there. I mean, there's going to be some competition inside.
Before the draft, you told us about production versus projections, and it looks like all the guys that you drafted all have college production as well. And they project to continue to grow, but the production, how important was it to get that production under their belt early? Yeah, I think it's important, and it's one, I think for us, it gives us more confidence when you see a guy that has been able to produce and produce with consistency at the college level. It gives you, I guess, some confidence in their ability to do that in the NFL. Obviously, you still want some room to grow too. So that's important. I think it gives them confidence too, that they've been productive within their league and versus the competition that they face, that they can come in and compete at the NFL level. And so they all have room to grow. They all have room to improve. But to have that resume of solid college production, it's something that, gives us some confidence.
I really liked Brandon a couple years ago when he was on our team Face On. What did you see in him to bring him back? Yeah, well, we loved him when we came in and we got to know him for the brief time that we did before he left in free agency. We knew that he fit some of the things that we've talked about. We knew he had a high passion for football. He loves the process of preparing for the game, which is really important. He has great length. He can be disruptive at the line of scrimmage. He can be a physical player, and he's a smart player. And so we liked all those attributes. He has the ability, because of his size and length, to be a disruptive guy at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, as we take a look at him now and his production and what you expect to see, Dave, let's stay in the secondary. A lot of competition, faster players who can close in on the ball via the draft, and who you're bringing back. So I'm interested in that. When you decide to keep a player because he fits your scheme, and then you bring in someone to compete with that player via the draft and free agency. Let's talk about the secondary from the safeties to the corners. Yeah, well, we brought in Marcus Epps, and I would say he's been as advertised for us. Right. Tremendous leader, tremendous football intelligence. You need to have a guy on the back end to get everybody else right, and to make sure that the communication from the third level to the linebackers to the defensive line is fluid. He's done a good job of that in the spring. You see an instinctive player that can read pattern concepts and make plays on the ball, so that's been exciting. I think he's helped Trayvon in his development in terms of just continuing to grow in terms of preparation and understanding what offenses are doing schematically based on formation and personnel and things of that nature. And so I'm really excited about those two guys. Isaiah Palomalo's back, and another year of development for him. So we're excited about him, along with Roderick Teamer. And then we signed Jaquan Johnson also this offseason. And so, and
He's a guy that comes from a program with the Buffalo Bills. You know, that's a good program. He knows how to prepare. He knows how to practice hard. He knows how to work. So excited about him. And then obviously Chris. You know, Chris Smith we drafted, you know, from Georgia. And Chris is, you know, similar to Marcus, is another guy that relies on his instincts and football intelligence to make plays. And these guys have gotten their hands on some footballs here this spring. So, you know, we're excited to see that.
All right, let's move to the linebackers, and we're going to segue also into the alumni coming up here. Great story. I'm with Phil Villapiano. Spillane's there. He's 41. Phil comes up to me, you know, JT, this is my guy. He's got my number. And he looked at Phil. He knew who he was. He got the whole thing.
Yeah.
He talked about his grandfather who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and how he wants to be an impact player here. You mentioned Epps. Now let's talk about the linebackers led by that production that he brings from Pittsburgh and what you expect from that whole unit.
Yeah, we're excited about him and Divine, you know, pairing together. Robert is another self-made guy, chip on your shoulder, loves the process, loves to work, loves to get in the weight room, loves to put in extra time in the film room. And again, that's what we wanted to continue to improve the fabric of this team. We're building a foundation here. And so we're trying to build a foundation of guys that can be great examples to the younger players and how they prepare and perform. So, you know, we added Robert, who's a guy that was able to wear the green dot in Pittsburgh, make the calls, lead the defense, get people lined up, problem solve. He's a physical downhill player and probably a little bit more athletic than even what we anticipated since we've got him. The speed and quickness is a little bit better than what we thought. It's hard, you know, you don't see it until sometimes you get him right in the grass in front of you. So he's done a good job. Divine continues to develop. Luke Masterson's made a big jump.
Yeah, I like Luke.
Yeah.
I really did the time.
Yeah, you know,
last year.
You know, a guy that played safety in college. He played linebacker too, but it wasn't, you know, he didn't start off as a linebacker. So he was still developing and growing. So he's done a good job. And then, you know, we brought Curtis Bolton back, who made an impact for us in the kicking game. And we have a couple other young players there that we signed in free agency. And so, yeah, there's going to, and we drafted Zach Burney in the 6th round from Florida. And, you know, he's shown some of the athletic traits that we saw in Florida out here on the field here. So have some young guys there, you know, some guys that still have some things to prove. And so we're excited about that competition there.
Patrick Graham last week said that Divine Diablo's got a little bit more size on him this year. They call him Big Swole.
Yeah.
Everybody had their homeboy named Big Swole. How exciting is it just to see that development just in the size of Divine?
Yeah, we're excited about the physical development that he's went through. You know, the biggest thing with Divine has been staying healthy.
Right.
And so, you know, that's something that he's going to have to show from a durability standpoint that he can do that. And I think he prepared his body physically playing the linebacker position. Another guy going from safety to linebacker, and there's still some development there. And so, yeah, we're excited about how he's shown up and what he's done to his body here for the upcoming season.
Before we get to the offense, Dave, one more on the defense. When you look at Russell Wilson and Herbert and especially Mahomes, look at this team and the coaches that they have. When you put your scheme together, your board together for the draft, is it best player all the time is going to grow with us, or do you think of matchups from time to time in this AFC West, which is the toughest division in football?
Yeah, we definitely focus on, you know, those other teams in the AFC West. We've got to play them both 2 times a year. And so a lot of our conversations where we talk about, you know, structuring the defense and structuring the offense, and probably more of a focus on defense right now of what we have to defend and what we have to do to be successful to defend those groups. And so we have all those quarterbacks you mentioned can all move. They can all create in their own way. And so we have to be able to disrupt those guys. We have to be able to not just sack quarterbacks, but move them off the spot, create issues with timing. And so, yeah, Tyree Wilson is a guy that we can hope, you know, can do that. Marcus Epps, you know, on the back end, because you have to have somebody that you have to be right in coverage when you're facing these quarterbacks. And so a lot of almost every move that we make, there's a conversation when we're talking about adding a player is how do they impact the team, but how do they impact how are they going to impact the game versus the opponents that we play here in the AFC West?
Yeah. How important is it to find someone who can consistently wear that green dot? Last year it bounced around a little bit. That's one question. And the other question I have, and me and Q were talking about, how can we get some more interceptions? How can we get some more picks around here?
Yeah. Well, I think with the green dot question, it's really important. Probably a very underrated part, you know, from as a fan looking in, you're not really focused on the green dot guy. You know what I mean? But they're problem solvers, and to have a consistent voice and someone that can, one, have the voice to communicate, have the intelligence to communicate, but then can also handle their job.
Yes.
That's where the dichotomy, that's where it gets difficult at. You know, can you handle your responsibilities, but then also make sure the other 10 guys know their responsibilities? And so, you know, we feel we have 2 guys with Robert and Divine that can do it. But, you know, again, Robert, part of the reason we brought Robert in was his ability and his experience doing that in Pittsburgh. So it's really important, and the consistency is really important. On the second question, in terms of getting your hands on more footballs, I think it's all 3 levels of the defense contribute to that, and we're trying to create a more disruptive front. And being able to create more pressure on the quarterback to make quarterbacks have to get the ball off the spot early, and disrupt some timing. And you know, as a defensive back, that creates some opportunities for DBs. And then also just some of the guys that we've tried to add, whether it's been Marcus Epps, whether it's Faison, Ja'Cory Bennett. Yeah. Chris Smith.
Right.
You have to find guys that have a knack for it, and they either have a knack for it as a combination of speed and athleticism and instincts, or some guys may have it, maybe they're a little less athletically inclined, but their instincts and awareness allow them to make plays on the football. But that's a huge focus for us as we're building this defense and continuing to build this out over the next couple years. Is there's going to be a focus on guys that can make plays on the football and guys that can disrupt the spot at the quarterback position where the quarterback's at.
You mentioned with Chris Smith that you thought he was kind of like a young Deron Harmon, and
Yes.
Deron Harmon had that just nowhere to be when he's supposed to be there.
That's right, and he did it in a lot of big games too for us. And when we were in New England, and he did it in Atlanta, and he did it here last year with the Raiders. And so, that's high praise, because Deron has had a tremendous career, and he's done it in big spots. And if Chris can do that, then Chris is going to have a really impressive football career.
Dave, let's move to the offense. You have 2 veteran quarterbacks here who know the system well, and super explosive players. We mentioned Hunter and Jacoby and what could be done on the outside with Devontae. What should we expect this year in year 2 in the system in regards to being more aggressive, downfield, more explosive with these players? I think when you go 4 wide with the leading rusher in the league who can run the ball at that high level, it's going to be very entertaining for these fans.
Yeah, we're really excited about the offensive skill group that we have. And again, it's on paper right now, but when you talk about what I see is a lot of guys that can win in critical situations, and mainly we're talking about 3rd down, and we're talking about in the red zone. But when you talk about Devontae, obviously can do it. Jacoby Myers is a proven commodity that can do it. Hunter can do it. We feel like Mike Mayer, that's going to be part of his skill set and his strength. Hooper's done it, at the NFL level. And then you add some interesting pieces like DeAndre Carter, who can fly, Philip Dorsett, who can fly, Trey Tucker, who can fly.
Got a theme going here.
Yeah, got a theme going here.
DJ Turner is an explosive player. And so we have an interesting combination of guys that are these 3rd down, red zone, productive players, and then we have another element of explosiveness and speed with another group of players. And so, and that's not to mention the tight ends too. And so, and then the running back. And so, there's a lot of guys on the team as they continue to develop, and if they reach their potential, that if you're a defensive coordinator, you're going to be up late, trying to figure out how we're going to stop all these guys.
How big is it that Michael Mayer not only could be that threat in the red zone, obviously he can catch the ball really well, but he's also a really good blocker, and that's going to help the run game out in a major way too.
Yeah, you want to, having a tight end that you feel confident that you can run the ball behind, it creates a balance in your run game that a lot of teams don't have. A lot of teams scheme their runs to run away from the tight ends nowadays because they're not really blockers. And so he has some room to grow in that area, but he has the willingness to do it, and he has the size and the toughness to do it. And so that's a great place to start. And it provides another element to the run game when you have a guy that you can run behind at that position.
Yeah. Where we are in our division, does that kind of set the standard in the bar as far as particularly the receiver room, having the big physical route running receiver and then having the speed guy? We see different aspects of that each and every game for us. You think you'll see that?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, as we look, Josh does him and his offensive staff do a tremendous job of figuring out how are we going to, what's the weak link and from a personnel standpoint, and then what are some of the schematic issues that our system can cause some of these other teams in our division. And I think with this group that we have, we have a lot of guys that, like I said, are going to cause issues for defenses and give us an explosive edge week in and week out.
The offensive line, what type of chip do they have on their shoulder? I remember last year talking to you, as you mentioned, you didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Your new scouting department, the people you brought in, and you're going with 6 or 7 guys into the preseason in a rotation. Now you have the leading rusher because of that offensive line.
Yeah.
So what's their mindset now after doing that and not getting a lot of respect around the league for being an elite offensive line? You got Colton and a couple of good players there, but what do you expect from them as you make it a little bit more demanding this year to even be better?
Yeah, I know that group's really excited, and they're really excited because if you've played football or you've been around football, continuity on the offensive line is really important to that group. The ability to communicate with each other, the ability to know the strengths and weaknesses of each individual player, and we're bringing back basically a group, that played together last year, and a group again that's improved because they know the system. So Colton, one of the best left tackles in the league, and we have a lot of competition at tackle with Brandon Parker, Justin Herron, Thayer, Jermaine. We brought in Dalton Wagner after the draft, so there's going to be a lot of competition at that tackle position. And there's a lot of competition inside. Moody's been a guy that's really made some strides this offseason, who we signed from Denver last year, just physically and from a conditioning standpoint. Obviously, Alex is back. We added Justin Murray, who's a veteran. We added I don't know if he's on there, but Greg Van Roten, who we signed, is another guy that's had a lot of experience in the league, started a lot of games. And so we're excited about the continuity of that group. That group's excited about the continuity of that group, and they do play with the chip.
Good.
They were a group that helped produce the leading rusher in the league,
Yeah.
but anytime they turn on, a social media or something like that, they stink. And so we're fine with that. Everybody can think that, we stink as a team and that we stink individually as a position. We'll continue to use that as fuel, and we'll continue to use that as motivation to, to go to the places that we know we're going to go here as we're working through this process.
What did you see in Wagner and Curtis? Because you signed those guys immediately after the draft, and there are some guys that they were actually surprised that they didn't get drafted.
Yeah, a lot of competition for those two players, and so we had to do a lot of work from just a recruiting standpoint after the draft finished to explain and help them understand why this opportunity was going to be a great opportunity for them. But Dalton is a big, long kid. It played obviously in the SEC, 34-inch arms, a lot of power, a lot of strength. We're going to improve some areas, some areas of other areas of his game in terms of some agility stuff and foot quickness and stuff that he's already improving in. But if you watched him against Alabama, and going against Will Anderson, he did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And so again, when you can see those guys going against the top players, it's exciting. And then with our guy from Tennessee, Chattanooga, another big, long, strong kid. I mean, his strength in the weight room, he's NFL strong now. Now it's honing the technique. And so you see a big, long, raw kid that has some room to grow, but he has the base strength and the size and the length to stack it on top of each other. And he's a great kid that wants to win and wants to work. And so he has the traits to reach his potential. It's going to be up to him and up to us, to develop it.
Yeah, I love the versatility last year of Dylan Parham. I think he did a really great job of swinging from guard to wherever you guys wanted him. Is that one of the things, offensive line-wise, that you guys are looking at in free agency and through the draft?
Yeah, I love it. Because like you said, the one position offensive lineman, like you have to be really good if you're going to be just a one position guy on the offensive line. There's from just an attrition standpoint and the injury standpoint, having guys that can shuffle in and play multiple spots and do it at a high level, it gives everybody else in the group confidence.
Yeah.
When they see a guy, well, I've worked with you at center, I've seen you play guard, and the coaching staff confidence too. And so, from an offensive line standpoint, two position players is going to be always something that we focus on and always something that we value.
Dave, last one on football. I want to go to special teams. The philosophy that you brought in from the past and the success you've had with other coaches now, they're kind of taking a little bit of away with the fair catch. We talked about it on radio extensively about that. You got two of the best. A.J. Cole is a punter, and Carlson's amazing. So the strength of this team, when you have to cut players back, but you're going to leave someone on the roster because they're an elite special teams player. Tell us about that.
Yeah, a lot of value. Something that I was taught a long time ago is the impact of the kicking game. Now the rules are maybe trying to reduce some of that, but when you look at your punt team in general and just the punt, right? The punt is one of the longest plays from a field position standpoint in the game. You're talking about 48, 50 yards, of field position that can essentially change. And so having guys that can be disruptive in the kicking game, that can go down and flip field position, make tackles, create turnovers, whatever it may be. But it's a huge part of the game that people don't, a lot of people don't focus on, but just the field position aspect, being able to pin people inside the 20 on a kickoff, being able to, with our punter, and his ability to punt it directionally and pin guys inside the 10, but us being able to get down and hold guys inside the 15, inside the 10, and do those types of things is something that we value a lot. So with each position group on our team, other than the offense and the defensive line, there's guys that are on our team specifically for their ability to contribute in the kicking game. That's why we signed them in free agency. That's why we signed them in the draft or whatever it may be. And so something that we're always going to value and hold in high regard here with the Las Vegas Raiders.
When you look at Trey Tucker, we always talk about his speed because he has it. Like you said, he flies, right? But he's also a guy that's willing to go down and tackle and is a really good gunner. How important is that for the special teams unit?
Yeah, it's huge. And those guys that can put pressure on the actual punt returner to either stop them, like you said, to make a quick tackle or create turnovers. That's another way to contribute on Sundays. The more opportunities you give yourself to do that by your versatility, you just increase your value on the team.
Let's wrap it up. I want to, if you could take our fans behind the scenes when the owner and our head coach and you got together with this alumni opportunity.
Yeah.
What was the process like? Knowing these gold jackets are coming in, other legendary players. I saw the look on your face at the M and out here on the B-roll. How important is that? Because that's the past here. This is the new. Bridging these great players.
It's hugely important. Growing up 25 minutes from the Football Hall of Fame, where I grew up, always had a great appreciation for the NFL greats. The Raiders have more than almost anybody in the league. Our team room here, when you go into our team room here, all the Raider greats pictures are all across the walls. We want our guys to understand who laid the foundation and what they stood for and what they valued. And it's really once we got to know these guys and we've had them here, it's not that much different than what we're talking about. These Raiders teams that won a lot of games, they loved the process. They worked at practice. They spent time after practice. I know they had the reputation they like to have some fun off the field too, which they did. But what they talked about is all those guys, the best players on those teams, practice ended. They were out there another 30 minutes, another hour, whatever it took. And then they brought young guys with them. And so we're talking about being smart football players, being tough and physical, an intimidating style of play. Being explosive, being disruptive. It's a lot of the things that allowed these guys to be successful. But it was overwhelming to have them here. I had a moment to spend time with them and, got a little emotional because, I never thought I'd be in the position of talking in front of, 8 to 10 special, gold jacket guys, Hall of Famers. And I told my wife about it. She said, well, you didn't even get emotional when the kids were born. I said, there weren't 10 Hall of Famers in the room.
Not yet. Expectations weren't that high yet.
So it was a really, really special thing. A great message from all the guys that were here to our guys here to understand what legacy and what the expectations are when you put on this Raiders uniform and you step into this facility. Expectations are high, and these guys are the ones that set the bar.
Yeah, this is a unique situation here, unlike any other place in the National Football League, because once you're ready, you really are, and we do an outstanding job to continue to invite the alumni back, and we really appreciate you guys continuing that trend.
Yeah, well, it's really important for us. We love them. We tell them this is their home. They're welcome anytime. Greg Townsend was out there coaching up the defensive ends.
Of course he was.
Getting those guys ready. But it was, again, we value their wisdom. We value what they've done. For us to have this, we don't have this if it wasn't for the greats that were here in the past. And so just, very fortunate.
Speaking of emotions, I want to take you back to draft day. And Peter King was on Raider Nation Radio 920 with us and was talking about the fact that you walked by the big picture of Al Davis and just kind of gave him a pat and just got a little fired up to have that opportunity to go into the draft room knowing the great Al Davis, who led this organization?
Yeah, there's not a day really. I mean, it's probably, if we're here for 7 days out of the week, at least 5 of them, I give him an imaginary fist bump when I walk by the walk by his picture down the hall. And just to see, when I see the image of Al Davis, it just means a lot to me, because I know what he meant to the NFL, and I know what he means to the Raiders, obviously too. And I feel that. I feel that pressure in a good way. I want to be successful for the Davis family. I want to make Al Davis proud, and Josh feels the same way. And so, yeah, it's a special thing just to know that I'm walking in the footsteps of one of the greats.
Thanks for the extended time, Dave. Really
Appreciate you.
When we come back, we'll have a few players that are going to join us as we continue from the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center. This is Raiders Roundtable.
Thanks to Coach McDaniels donating some gear for us for our flag football team. We do have girls flag football as a varsity sport in Las Vegas, and we play in the winter time, so it was nice enough to get us some warm gear so that they could stay warm in the winter.
They let us in, and we got to walk around and look at the indoor facility and all the fields. After that, they took us on a tour and showed us the locker room and the weight room and the recovery room, and it was really cool.
This was an important thing for me to have an opportunity to do. If you don't know, I was the son of a high school football coach. You know, we didn't have a ton of resources, but we had a lot of people that helped us along the way and were able to, assist us in being able to, whether it was in improving our equipment or facilities or just people, willing to give their time and their resources to help us kind of grow and improve as student athletes, and to be able to give back not only to the game of football, but also our community here was important to me. Super excited that I could help in any way that I can. I will continue to try to do that, and welcome. Hope you guys have a great time here today, obviously, and best of luck on your seasons coming up like ours is. So, welcome.
It's a great opportunity for those of us who, are now part of the National Football League. We also have another obligation to help those that aspire to do these kind of things. So it's a good feeling when you can look at the faces of those young kids and know that, you're giving them an opportunity to have some things that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have. And, as much as we can do that, that's better for the game.
About giving back to the community, which is a big thing for the Raiders organization, for the high schools that he affected. It's just a great overall experience to see the connection in football between professional and high school.
We were also happy to see him, the girls included. They were asking on the car right over here if they were going to get to see him, so they weren't 100% sure. And when they did, you could see their eyes lit up, and just the way he talked about how much he loved high school football, I know really brought it home for them. And I think that they want to go out and play right now, but they got to wait till winter.
I think it was really special. He just seemed very kind and like he really cared, and it was nice having him help us out.
It feels great, amazing. We don't really get too much of attention at Western High School, but getting it from Raiders, it's amazing.
Jacoby Myers, receiver, Las Vegas Raiders.
Second and goal. Fake again. Play action. Back of the end zone. Myers. Touchdown. Jones downfield. In stride. Jacoby Myers.
The opportunity to be in the same room as some great receivers. The opportunity to be back with Coach McDaniels, Coach Mick, all the guys, man. It's just the weather. That's always great. So there's a lot of good things to be proud of, and I'm happy to just put myself inside all of it.
Pass is caught by Myers for a first down.
Just going out there and playing my role, doing my part, trying to help this team be great, growing as a person, so a lot of good things to look forward to.
Jones, end zone for Myers, touchdown!
I know he's going to coach me, he's going to make sure I understand the details of every team we playing. You know he's going to coach you hard. You know he's going to expect the best out of you, but I feel like with tough things like that, you get a chance to separate yourself, a chance to grow. Like I said, I really know I'm going to get better, and that's ultimately my goal at the end of the day. Hey, Raider Nation, I'm Jacoby Myers. I don't got too many promises, but I promise that I will be my best every day. Try to be the same guy every day. I'm excited to meet all the fans, all the family, all the support system. I'm just happy to be here, and I'm hoping that you guys are happy to meet me when you get the chance to. So.
The Las Vegas Raiders and Allegiant Stadium have announced plans to elevate and expand its premium suite offerings, introducing 100-level club suites for the 2023 season. Completion for the expansion project is expected for early fall ahead of the start of the Raiders' regular season, as well as marquee events and concerts, including Beyonce, Ed Sheeran, and Pink. For more details, visit Raiders.com/club suites or call 702-463-5132. Welcome back to Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union. We're inside the facility. Thanks again to Dave Ziegler. That was fantastic. Q Myers, Eric Allen, JT. Thanks for everybody who's watching on YouTube, all of our platforms, Raider Nation Radio today. It's going to be outstanding. All the guests today. Media Day. You see the lights, EA, popping behind. They got the Star Wars wands when it gets out. It's fun. You know, have a good time here. And it's kind of like school picture day for a lot of these
It
players.
really is. You get your swag on and feeling good. The lights, the cameras, everyone's attention is on the positive things. But back to Dave. Dave is awesome. Man, does a really good, outstanding job, understands where this franchise is, where he wants to go. So really appreciate him.
That's a really important point, Q, as I go back to you. The fans who are watching and listening today, you got to have a lot of trust in this GM. He's so thorough.
Yeah.
And he's more of a modern-day GM with the way he wants these hybrid players who can do multiple things. He continues to talk about explosive, smarter players, and I think in the draft, that's what he did. Maybe Raider fans are saying, why didn't we get this player here? Well, he had the player that he wanted to fit this system to win, not to develop them too, but to have them have an impact early.
Yeah, really. And the thing that he kept reiterating to us the whole time throughout the whole process was, you know, production, as well as projections, right? You want the guy who projects to be this next guy on the next level, but at the same time has already done it in college. And that was something when me and EA were talking about, you know, getting their hands on the ball. Guys like Jacorian Bennett has had 5 interceptions in 2 years, 27 pass breakups, right? Chris Smith on the back end, 6 interceptions at Georgia, obviously a national champion. So those guys have been there, done that.
Yeah, they have. And these kind of football players who are versatile, who can do more than one thing. That's really important for this football team and where we play. We play in a division that they're going to have maybe the best quarterback to ever play football. We have to go against him twice a year. We have the Chargers, and we have a Denver Broncos football team that's going to look totally different from the last couple times, and we've dusted those guys the last couple times. So very competitive. We need some football players who are smart, able to really be versatile enough to play inside, outside, and get it done.
I was skeptical of Aiden O'Connell, not as a player, but where he was taken. Because I was, let's go defense the whole way. You know, in the 4th round, there's got to be a good defensive player that can plug and play. But I kind of got, as they're getting ready to get Jimmy G back eventually here and with Hoyer, that maybe, Q, they had to get a quarterback. And they weren't going to get a quarterback in those, you know, Richardson, Will Levis. They were passing on those players because they would have had to go up. So this has got to be a value play. He's got to turn out to be better than a 4th-round pick and someone who can learn this system quickly.
Right, and the thing about him is that he's a guy that's been through some stuff, right? I mean, let's just put it like that. I mean, a walk-on there at Purdue, a guy that's gone through some adversity, was, 9th on the depth chart at one point, worked his way in. And, you know, being out at OTAs last week, seeing him throw the ball, and, look, I don't want to overreact to it because, again, they're in shorts and T-shirts, but the guy can sling the rock, right? He's big, tall, stand in the pocket and get rid of it. And one of the things that they say about him all the time is he gets rid of it so quickly and accurately. So that's a great start for a quarterback, obviously.
Listen, the first couple things we're talking about here is him overcoming some adversity.
Right.
All of these football players who are young on this football team almost have gone through that process. They understand and know that it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to work for it, compete. That's what this roster's being made up of. And these quarterbacks, Some of these guys, they're not the 5 stars. They're not 6'5". They're all guys who are versatile, who are mobile. The one thing, though, got to be accurate.
Right.
Got to be accurate to be able to put on a uniform in the National Football League and help teams win football games. That's the one aspect that, with all the other things, and all the other things are great. I mean, you can have overcome adversity, you can look great in your uniform, but if you're not accurate, you're not winning football games in the National Football League. And hopefully all of these quarterbacks on our roster right now, that's the one key thing that's very positive.
I want to stay on O'Connell because what jumped out at me was they didn't go out and get a overly athletic quarterback, a running quarterback, okay? Because the system of Josh McDaniels is not a sprinting, outside the pocket, Lamar Jackson type player. And they took a guy that if he had to come in, if he had to break the glass and let him play early, he can get the ball out.
Right.
The ball's going to come out. It's going to come out quickly to the right guy if he learns the system quickly. Yeah, I'll start with you. When you have a quarterback who's on paper to be the 3rd-string quarterback, how quickly do you get him up to speed? What do you got to do here? Because Brian Hoyer, who we're going to talk to in a few minutes, he's a heck of a backup quarterback.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and that second guy or the 3rd guy, he has to be ready to go with less reps. So you're not going to get a ton of reps in practice. So you're going to have to be a guy who's really in the film room, understanding strengths and weaknesses of yourself. But again, you have to find ways to get that work. So when you're going against the first-team defense or the second-team defense, you have to put yourself in that that mode where this is my opportunity.
Right.
This is my opportunity to make those throws. I know Max is pressuring me. I have to find a way to get rid of the ball quickly and be able to put the ball in a spot that, my guy can get. So those defensive players understand how good I am.
Right.
So when I go into game, I have that confidence that I've gone against Max. I've gone against Chandler. I've gone against that defensive backfield in cover 3 or cover 4 or whatever it is. I understood that, called it out in practice. So now I'm confident, but more than that, the coaching staff understands that I can hold up in situations.
And I know it's early, but how important is it that he's getting reps? Aiden O'Connell's getting a lot more reps right now without Jimmy G being on the field. He's able to get those reps that a normal backup would be getting.
Yeah, so important to get that film. And I keep talking about film and going back to it because early on, it's the one thing that's going to save you. You go into the film room after practice, and you are your toughest critic. You find ways, man, I need to do that better. My footwork wasn't great here, throwing off my back foot or throwing off my front foot. Those are things that I have to clean up in OTAs, in mini camps. Those are things that I'm staying in the building after practice is over, looking at, coming back on the football field. Hopefully there's a receiver or someone else who can work with me. Those are the kind of football players, and Dave just talked about that. Guys who love football, they're willing to do that.
And I want to go back to Jimmy Garoppolo and what I've seen being around him a couple of times in the last few days. He's a teammate. You got to go back to the 49er years. And I know a lot of Raider fans don't watch 49er games.
Don't want to hear about that.
Well, what I thought he did, which was so special, beating Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau, finding ways to win games, is he always threw to the wide-open player. That's the legacy of Tom Brady. Tom Brady threw to guys who were wide open because of the scheme of Josh McDaniels. So when you saw Deebo Samuel and you looked at what they were able to do with Ayuk and George Kittle, he moved his hips, CA, and pump faked or lightly moved his eyes, brought the defense with him, and then someone was trailing wide open. How many times did you see a Niner player, Deebo especially, get the ball and go for 30 more yards because there was no one around him? That's why I think he's got to be good in this system. Look at that record, 40-17.
Yeah.
The TD to interception ratio in 2022. He's going to make the easy pass be very effective because guys are going to be open.
He's a winner, JTQ. He's a winner. This type of offense does a really good job of getting guys open, whether it is we're going to line up in a bunch situation. The front man and the inside player are going to run nines. The outside guy in that clear out spot is going to be able to run a drag route. He's going to be wide open because on our backside, we're running 7 routes or something. So they're going to give areas of the football field that quarterback knows this player should be open at this time. And that's why this system has been successful. If you have a quarterback that understands and trusts the system and a coaching staff that has valuable players who you can line up and take advantage maybe of some weaknesses of the Chiefs or the Chargers or whatever. I think the system and the quarterback, he understands the system. It's going to make it so much better for this football team this year.
We talk about understanding the system all the time. How quickly, for a guy who's been out of the system for a little while, not a whole long time, but just a little while, how quickly do you think he can get up to speed?
Well, again, it's all about how you practice right now, early, and how you go back and develop those little traits, because it's going to be different because you're dealing with different players.
Right.
So you have the Jimmy G finds a way to get it done, but now he's going to get on the same page with Devontae or Myers or whoever it is. And that's going to take a little time. But talking about a little time, about the development and how these players are going to get together on the same page, and I think it'll take maybe 1 or 2 weeks.
He's got to be pretty excited, though. I mean, Devontae Adams with just a pure wide receiver is the best wide receiver he's ever played for.
You have to be. To know that when you get in trouble, you and him can hook up, and that relationship has to build. But Devontae's always going to be Devontae. Don't matter who the quarterback is. Devontae's going to get it done.
I think Michael Mayer, if I'm him, I'm looking at every cut-up of George Kittle the last 5 years. I'm just saying, this is the guy I want to be about. I want to run the same routes that he ran, because on those routes, Q, he was wide open, and after the catch, Kittle's athleticism. Mayer's a different player, more bigger and bulkier and stronger, but just as good as hands. And I remember how many times Kittle was just wide open in the middle of the field as everyone was else on the outside. I see that now with Devontae here, where Mayer, he's not going to be able to just hide behind people, but I think if he hits his routes and makes the right cuts, Jimmy G is really going to lean on him early in his career.
Well, and the other thing about it is he catches the ball with soft hands, but he runs violently. Right? You mentioned George Kittle. George Kittle, that's what he'd be wide open, but then the run after the catch would be violent. That's what Mayer does.
Yeah, he can block. He can do a lot of things. And we'll say with Josh Jacobs, I think it's important, because when I look at the numbers here and analyze the numbers on what the Raiders want to do on third down, what they want to improve on, because that was a problem last year. We're talking 5 games with double-digit leads in the second half, with the leading rusher in football and the best wide receiver. There was a disconnect. There was a disconnect on how to attack and stay on the field. And I don't see that this year. And EA, I can't get it out of my head. I just wonder how many touches Josh is going to get on third down. Third in that weird 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, where we know he can get it. Or is he going to be even out there, or is he going to be lined up? They're going to be moving him around, because last year he got those tough yards. I think defensive coordinators are going to be keying on him more this year.
Yeah, JT, in the defensive room, we have 3rd and 10 to 12. That 3rd and 3 to 5 is really tricky on defenses too, because do you pressure? Do you zone? What personnel packages are the Raiders going to come with if I'm on the defensive side? So if I have Josh in the backfield, now I have to keep a extra linebacker in just to protect against the run, because what Josh did last year, he's going to give those defenses fits as far as, hey, they may run this football if it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. He has to be someone who can catch the football, and we know Josh can do that. I think with this system, this scheme, it's all about attacking weaknesses. So if that linebacker on the opposing team is not a good cover guy, believe me, this team will attack him until they change.
You heard Dave Ziegler there before we come back talk about the teams, the no respect, the offensive line.
Yeah. They hear it.
Everything that I'm dealing with, Q, on the front lines of Raider Nation Radio is the fact that I don't think people understand how great this offense can be. It could be elite. It could be a top 5 offense, top 7 or 8. That changes everything for me, and I wouldn't have believed it unless Josh Jacobs had the year he had last year. I didn't go into this time last year thinking he was going to lead the league in rushing. I knew he was playing for a contract. I knew he was going to be the franchise tag. What was going to happen? He blew me away with the way he ran the ball. And now you add that to the system quickly, EA. I think it changes everything. It could take it to a top 5 to 6, 7 offense in the league.
The finishes, JT. I mean, the way he finished games last year, finished runs, tells you about his conditioning and how he really attacks football teams. Just unbelievable job that this offensive line did, but particularly, running through arm tackles, making sure that he wasn't going to be stopped at times. I was just so happy for this young man to be able to say, okay, I'm going to prove it. You give me what you give me, but you know what I'm going to do is when it's time to finish, I'm going to finish games. I'm going to finish runs. That's the most important thing for a running back.
Coming up, we're going to have Mad Max here in a little bit. About an hour from now, we have Brian Hoyer coming up, Jacoby Myers. Now we're going to get the train of the players coming in, and we're excited about that from Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center. You're watching and listening to Raiders Roundtable.
We just traded with Indianapolis. We're on a clock now, and and you're going to be a Raider. So
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Good. Yes, sir. We're fired up, and congratulations. I'm going to hand the phone to Dave Ziegler, our general manager, and then you enjoy this with your family, and then we'll be in touch with you here shortly with some logistics. Okay, bud? Congratulations and welcome. You got a big guy. Here's Dave.
Michael.
How we doing?
Casper. Welcome to Raider Nation.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We couldn't be more excited, man, to add you to the team. Congrats. Enjoy the moment with your family. We'll have someone in touch with you in terms of some travel and things like that, but enjoy the moment, man. You earned it.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. See you.
We're at Allegiant Stadium right now, and I just had one of the best surprises of my life. Came down, we're doing the coaches selection meeting for the All-Star team upstairs, and came down, Jordan asked me if I would do an interview with a local TV station, and I came down to a surprise of getting Coach of the Year with my team here, my family here, administration here. It was my coaches. It was really an awesome surprise. I didn't see it coming. Made me emotional coming down and seeing all these girls here and my family here. It was awesome. It was really an incredible surprise and quite an honor. I'm humbled by that. It was awesome. Well, it's awesome. I mean, really, these girls are so much fun to coach. I'm at a great school. We've got a great coaching staff, a great administration, and it is a ton of work. And I mean, to be recognized with something like this is definitely humbling. And you know, these kind of moments make it all worth it. These girls had a great experience this year. I had a phenomenal experience, and to be recognized with something like this is it's an incredible honor. Chokes me up starting to talk about it again.
Oh, awesome. Hey, great to see you. Nice one. Awesome. Thank you for coming.
Congrats, man.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Honestly, I think it pushes the kids. I think they're able to see that they can accomplish anything they put their minds to with work ethic, having a good coach behind them like Coach Matt, being able to push them and drive them to get to see that they can get back-to-back state championships. It's easier said than done, but you know, with the work, the coaching, the family, you know, friends around there, the support system that they have, you're able to accomplish anything.
Which camera?
I think one of the things that has struck me the last couple of years as we've gotten towards the end of the season is the girls talk about how close we are as a team. And I really feel like we are an extended family. And these girls really care for each other. I really care for them. I think really us caring for each other carries us through. I think they understand and know and recognize that I care for them, and they care for me, and they care for each other. And I really think that's gotten us through the last 2 years.
When you're a part of a team, there are expectations. And one of the things I expect from my team is trust. I work hard to win, and I trust my team to work hard too. That's why I feel good about America First Credit Union. They're my financial team, and I trust that they'll always be there for me and my community. I'm Hunter Renfro. Join me and the America First team today.
60 years in the making, the Raiders now have a permanent place to call home, and the doors are open to get a world-class behind-the-scenes tour of their new home. An attraction unlike any other in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. The Las Vegas Raiders invite you to experience the expertly guided tour that includes exclusive access to areas restricted to only football players, coaches, and staff. For more information, visit AllegiantStadium.com/tours.
Happy draft day. We have an amazingly incredible special guest this morning.
No.
We're here on draft day. We know obviously our GM and our coach are really working really hard to grow and build our team. And all of you have already been drafted. And we want to thank Devontae for gifting all of you with...
It's my pleasure, honestly. This is something that's big for me. The women that I've had in my life and the impact that they've had and how much I appreciate that. I got a house full of women right now. My mom, she was a single mother, didn't get near as much credit as what she should have for, you know, the job that she did. in raising me. I think that, it's the same goes for you guys. And just want to make sure you guys know that the work you do doesn't go unnoticed. So we appreciate you. There you go. Here you are. Of course. Thank you.
This is my first pair.
First pair?
Yeah.
Like I said to her, that's probably one of the better first pairs to start off with. Jordan 03. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to Raiders Roundtable, brought to you by America First Credit Union. JT along with Q Myers, Eric Allen. Some players will be coming out here in a little bit. Just incredible to see the energy in the building today. We're happy to be out here for Raiders Content Day, and there's a lot of content. We'll be here for a total of 3.5 hours, and we have full coverage, Q, on Raider Nation Radio from our morning show today, my show, your show after that. So one of the busier days on the calendar this year.
It really is, and to me, it kind of starts the whole football calendar year. Like, we've seen OTAs, we know mandatory minicamp is coming up, but when you see these players walking around, especially some of the new guys, maybe the rookies, and they're in their jerseys for the first time, and you can almost see the light click on for them, like, wow, this is real. Like, almost that pinch me moment, right?
Yeah, it's exciting time for them. Sometimes first time putting on a jersey and being in front of us.
Right.
We're asking them all these questions. Some of their dreams are coming true. I know when I was younger, I was a big Raider fan. And so the first time, even though it was year 10, the first time I put the uniform on and was a part of this historic brand, I was just blown away. Hey, man, 21, this is Cliff Branch. I'm finally, because Cliff was my favorite player.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's really a joy to see these young men have the opportunity to put on the Raider uniform and represent their families.
Let's stay with that a little bit. You come from all the success. You play on one of the greatest defenses of all time, Buddy Ryan and the Eagles. When you came here for your first media day up in Alameda at the time, now it's Content Day, what was that like being out on the field? Because Mr. Davis, everyone there, it's not just going through the motions. You got that uniform on tight, and you said there's Tim and Jerry and everybody there welcoming you in for the first time.
It's a little different. It really was because this iconic football team, this iconic brand, and Al Davis was still, on the football field and a part of this organization. And it was John Gruden's first year. And just a really quick story. I come in and I had built a relationship up with the defensive coordinator at the time, who was Willie Shaw. Willie Shaw recruited me from San Diego to go to ASU. So Willie and I were really tight. And Willie was a really demanding coach. I mean, he set the standard at the beginning of the season. Hey, in the backfield, this defense, 21 interceptions from day one. That's all we preach. So we knew that there was a kind of a method and a standard to reach. But just being in that locker room with Tim Brown at the time. Of course, Darryl Russell was a San Diego kid, and I knew him from high school. They had Albert Lewis, who was an outstanding player, who was then transferred to safety. We had a rookie named Charles Woodson, who, I had to kind of help get to make him, and a great player. Yeah, it just wasn't me, but as a corner, I felt it was my responsibility because people, when I was a rookie, did the same thing. Hey, man, here's how you study. Here's how you stay after for a while. And it took Charles a little while to learn. You got to stay after a little bit. But it was just really unbelievable experience, and we had a lot of great success. Unfortunately, we Tuck Rule or, the Baltimore Ravens year. Yeah. But I had a great time, met some great friends, and really tried to leave the place better than I found it.
You mentioned putting on that 21 and that was Cliff Branch's number and how excited you were because that was your guy. This organization doesn't retire numbers, so when you put on a number that's iconic, like a 21, a 24, an 81, it's almost like that responsibility level's got to go up higher when you have that number.
It really is, and 24 in particular.
Right.
because the great Willie Brown, and Willie picked me up from the airport, and I was like, how many interceptions do you have career? He's like, oh, I have 54. I was like, I'm coming to get you, Willie. I'm coming to get you. So we had great banter back and forth. But to be in the building and have Phil Filippiano, Willie Brown, at that time, Freddie B was coaching, have those guys all come back. Of course, Marcus Allen, who we all in San Diego loved, knew he was such a big part of this organization. Yes, it was a big deal to put on 21. Think about Cliff Branch. Knew that there was fan bases, around the country. When you went to town, and JT knows this, when you go into someone's town, there's a Raider contingent that is there and are representing and have the numbers on. So really, really proud that I had the opportunity to wear the jersey.
Well, Brian Hoyer is going to be here in a minute. We want to go back to this running back room. And Q, let's take a look at it because they carry a lot of running backs in this organization. And as we talked to Dave Ziegler about it, it's because they can play on special teams.
Right.
And I'm just wondering, if you look at this room, I'm expecting a lot from Zamir White. His conditioning is supposed to be really good. Abdullah, a veteran. Bolden, 11 years here. I'm just wondering who's going to stick here because they're not going to carry this many players, and they all line up behind Josh Jacobs.
No, and a year ago, Josh Jacobs made sure that Zamir White didn't get on the field that much, right? Josh Jacobs he was just that stinking good, even to the point where head coach Josh McDaniels said, I had planned on using him a little bit more, just couldn't get him on the field. But I really like what Amir Abdullah brings to the table as well, because he's going to catch the ball in the backfield, and he brings that extra element. So these guys all kind of play different roles, obviously led by Josh Jacobs.
Right. I think the plan was to have, like a short yardage guy, have a third down guy, have first Josh be the first and second down guy. What happened was Josh filled all those spots.
Right.
Well, let's stay on that. I love that about what happened last year.
Right.
He said, again, I'll never forget what it was like to be at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he played in that game.
Yes.
And everybody on the sideline was coming up to me saying, whoa, what's going on here? And look, they weren't shopping him. He was just going to get a little bit of work there. And then after that, when he exploded early in the season, you just started to notice, that he wasn't coming out of games.
Right.
He just wasn't coming off the field. And then I think once he started to get over 1,000 yards and he saw the numbers, he was definitely not getting off the field. And it was the strength of the team. And we're expecting him to be back here. And when he comes here, we'll see what happens, if they're negotiating long-term, if it's a franchise tag. But I think he's the heart and soul now. He's got to be in this window. You played against the all-time greats.
Yes.
You got to have like 2 or 3 or 4 years of these numbers, not one. You got to have a couple of them. You got to stack them. I think he has the ability to do that.
And, guys, what's great about this, his body type, I think, allows him to be able to last a little bit longer. He takes care of his body.
Yeah.
He's not a big guy. He doesn't take a bunch of hits. Just love and we talked about this earlier, the ability to finish.
Yeah.
Finish runs, always forward, and then finish at the end of football games.
Right.
But he's a throwback guy. He's someone who's going to play every down if he wants to, and if he can. Third down, he wants to catch the ball out the backfield, still working on his game. But you're right, JT, man. He's a throwback, tremendous football player. And I think last year, not only on the football field, but he really took steps leadership-wise in the locker room, and I noticed that right away.
He did. He talked to us every time, win, loss, whatever. It didn't matter. He talked. He held accountability. But, going back to being a throwback type and being on the field as much as he was, remember, that was the question coming out of Alabama, right? Because, he's part of a committee, so he hasn't done it. And everyone questioned it except for him.
Yes.
He's like, no, I got this.
Right.
So.
Right.
Brian Hoyer's here, as he is. Look, it's game day.
Yeah.
The photos are coming. We really appreciate him jumping in and joining us.
All right,
The
man.
Raiders Roundtable. Great to see you. Grab a seat. Thank you so much. How excited are you? Because you've come from a lot of success in your career. You come to this organization with familiar faces in the GM and the coach. How's the transition been for you?
Pretty seamless when it comes to the football aspect, for sure. To come in and know the offense day one, not only Josh, but I could go down the list of coaches from Bo Hardigree, Jerry Shaplinski, Mick Lombardi, Carmen Brasillo, even on the defensive side, Pat Graham. So to see a bunch of familiar faces always makes it an easy transition, and it's been great for me to to get back and play offense in this system.
I got to jump into the shoe game. I'm looking at hold on, man. It's the
These are
first
fresh
day
out of the
school.
box, man. Fresh out of the box.
I like it. Looking sharp. Looking sharp. How does it feel, though? Just the first day of school almost. You know, it's picture day and everybody's having a good time.
It's fun. I mean, when you get to this point of where I'm at in my career, you're like, all right, let's get this over with and get back to football. So it's fun, especially, you know, going to a new team, trying out new threads, and you know, see everybody getting glammed up for their photo shots and everything. But no, it's great. I mean, have a great setup here. This is a great facility, and get it all done. And like I said, get back to football tomorrow.
I'd say, what would Brian Hoyer year 1 say to Brian Hoyer year 15?
I never thought you'd make it that far. I mean, I started off as like the 5th quarterback in New England, so to get to year 15 is something I'm proud of, and obviously with this new opportunity and this team and this organization, really to end my career, you know, that's the way it's going to be. So excited to meet all the guys, obviously a great group, get to work with them every day, and just go out and, you know, execute and have fun.
Yeah, to follow up, what does it take for a player who's not the 5-star guy, who's not to make it 15?
A lot of hard work, being around a lot of great people, learning from those people and making those connections, and then going out, and when you have an opportunity, just do the best you can with it, and you know, keep learning, keep building, and you know, even in year 15, I'm still learning every day. So especially the way the game's evolving, there's new defenses, there's new ways to attack those defenses. So I've learned from a lot of great people. Obviously, coming here, a big factor of it was coming to play for Josh, because I've learned the most from him over my career, and just excited about the opportunity.
Ryan, tell us about the system. Why is it so successful? Because you would think it would be really difficult and demanding. Derek Carr, former quarterback, all the success in New England. What is really the key to this system and learning and getting up to speed?
Yeah, it's look, it's not easy, but this is the NFL. It's not supposed to be easy. Josh puts a lot of responsibility on the players and especially on the quarterback. And I think once I learned to embrace that, it opened my eyes to, you know, what it does for you as a player, and not only for the quarterback, but the entire offense. So like I said, you know, you asked, you know, how do you make it this long? It's being around really smart people, learning from those people, not only Josh, but Tom and guys like that, to be able to be in the room and watch those guys game plan and say, hey, this is why we're doing this. And you learn to understand the why, and it's not just, you know, the X's and O's on the paper. There's a reason for everything, and I think when you get to that point, you realize, you know, they're putting us in the best advantage and best opportunity to win, and that's all you can ask for.
How important is it for you to be able to send that message to the rest of the guys in the locker room that may just start to learn the system, even backup quarterbacks like Aiden O'Connell as well?
Yeah. Look, I think that's part of the role. That's part of the reason I'm here. We have a lot of other guys who've played in the system. Adding Jacoby Myers, one of the smartest players that I've ever played with, you know, was able to learn it quickly as a rookie. I remember, you know, as a joke, I guess in New England, they make the rookies wear all these crazy numbers. He was number 69 playing receiver. And he was one of the main guys I was working with because he was like on the second team, and he was another undrafted guy. And I was like, man, this guy can play. You know what I mean? Former quarterback, knew, you know, where the zones were in the defense, and he did a great job. So excited to, you know, pair back up with him. But you know, all of us who've played in the system before, like, it is our responsibility to help those other guys if they have questions, or, you know, maybe point something out that maybe they're not noticing. And, you know, I think that's part of our role.
Yeah, what would you say the number one ingredient or aspect of a person's game to make them successful in this system?
Well, I think it's communication.
Okay.
I think it's communication and trust. I think, you know, when you see us out there, there's a lot of communication going on, and you all have to see it through the same set of eyes. So that's what this OTAs, that's what the mini camps for, is to, you know, build that foundation and make sure that when the ball snapped, everybody's seeing it the same way. And I think, you know, football is the ultimate team sport, especially offense. You know, on defense, one guy can fall down, he could be away from the play, it doesn't hurt him. But on offense, you know, one guy messes up, it probably messes up the other 10 guys. So we're just working on building that consistency right now, kind of coming together, gelling together. And, you know, it's great to have those opportunities in the spring and then come training camp to kind of build that foundation.
One of the big sports radio topics over the decades now, because Tom Brady played so long, was it Brady? Was it the play calls? And I always say, there is no Tom Brady unless Bill Belichick and the organization drafts him.
Sure.
And if Josh McDaniels isn't there for all those Super Bowls designing those plays, Then there's no AFC Championship victories, come from behind in a Super Bowl down 28-3. I want you to tie that into what Coach is trying to do now with you, Jimmy, the system here, with a guy like Devontae and Josh Jacobs, because you played with elite players winning championships in New England.
Yeah, look, it's all got to tie together. I mean, the thing that, I had a front row seat to witness all those guys work, and like we talked about before, the communication, the trust, the understanding of what's the goal, what are the musts this week, what do we have to do to win this game, and for me, it's been fun to come out here and run this system with a guy like Devontae. Quite honestly, I've never been in this offense when you have a guy like him who's just like a human cheat code, and no matter what they do, you throw him the ball, he's going to catch it. I mean, I've sat there and watched the film from last year over and over, and you're like, oh my God, how is he making this catch? And then you get a chance to go out there and throw it to him, and you're like, all right, just put it in his vicinity.
Yeah.
So to get to do that, eventually get playing with Josh. He had a tremendous year last year. The wide receiver room is obviously deep. We talked about Jacoby, but obviously Hunter Renfrow and Philip Dorsett. I mean, I played with Phil. I mean, this guy's a speed demon. He's a speed demon. So, a lot of different aspects. And I think, you talk about this offense. Each year is different in this offense, and it's all about the players. How are we going to put our players in the best position to have success? And, Josh is, one of the best, if not the best, at doing those things. So, that goes back to the trust and understand, some things might be a little difficult, but there's a reason that we're doing it.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to hand it off to Jacoby.
There he is.
Number 69.
Yeah, that's right. Number 69, rookie year, remember?
That is transition.
Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate
Thanks
so much,
man.
Brian. Have a great year. Appreciate it very much as we're able to bring in Jacoby Myers.
How you doing, man?
Enough to join us.
Appreciate
appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing this. Wow, he just talked about you and him were developing together on the second team and your work ethic together. Now you got Jimmy Garoppolo here. Josh McDaniels is the head coach. How's the transition been for you?
It's been smooth, man. I feel like it's perfect because it's enough people that I do know and enough people that I don't know. So I get to rekindle with old friends, I haven't seen them in a minute, and then also meet a bunch of the new guys. So the experience, we working hard too.
Gotta work hard.
At the same time, I'm getting to learn my teammates, and it's been real cool.
What has it been like at OTAs? Because you guys are working hard, and for me, from being able to watch from the sideline, it looks like you guys are moving around from station to station really quickly.
Oh, we running.
Yeah.
We running, you know what I'm saying? But it's been cool, though, because we all in together. We all trying to get better. I feel like everybody bought in for the most part, so it's exciting.
Do you feel like you have your teacher's hat on, too, as you're going through? Are you conscious of, hey, I need to pick my pace up so the young guys understand what this practice needs to be about?
See, now I kind of look at it differently. I feel like these young guys, they come into the league so good now these days, or they got so much talent just from watching older guys and watching highlight tapes. So I'm always watching them just to see what they bring, the fresh new, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm still a young guy at the end of the day. So
for sure.
I feel like I can learn from anybody, young, old, you know what I mean, black, white, don't matter who it is.
Yeah.
You name it, I'm paying attention. And if I can help, I would help.
Right.
The system here, when you go 4 wide, EA knows we do the pregame together. I'm saying, I want to see him 4 wide, 5 wide. When you look over, Devontae's there, Hunter, Michael Mayer, whoever's there, and looking down the line there. What is that like? And for you, a guy who was a number 1 option or number 2, same thing here, to know you're going to get your share of balls, but you're going to run routes that get your teammates open.
Man, it's exciting, honestly. I'll be watching practice like, geez, he know how to get open too? He can get open too? Like, it's real dope. So it's exciting, honestly, like you said. Just a lot of guys who are good at their craft, You can tell they put a lot of time in it, so I just got to go out there and put a lot of time into mine, be good at mine, and match the intensity. So it's fun. It's competitive.
Talking about the system, you recently said that Josh McDaniels is going to give you the answers to the test. You just got to accept it. So when was that moment for you when you understood that, hey, the answers are right in front of me?
I can tell you it wasn't my rookie year. You know what I mean? I could definitely tell you that one. It was. I just knew I was going to do it my way, and that's probably why my rookie year went the way it went. I spent a lot of time on the bench, a lot of time watching, but in those moments, I guess going into the next year, it kind of helped me that I got to watch that long. So I would say my second year in the league, I definitely picked it up a little bit more.
What do you do really well right now? And then what are the things that you need to work on, and who are you looking at to help you strengthen that part of your game that you think needs work?
I would say something I do well. I feel like I know how to get open. You know what I mean?
How do you get? I'm a corner. I can cover, right? I know what you do best.
Yeah.
I'm looking at film.
Right.
If you like to stick me outside, inside, and go out, okay, I know that. I've worked all week at that in practice.
Right.
So when we get to the game, I know what you like to do.
Right.
So how are you going to get open?
See, that's the thing, though, with corners, though. Whether you watch me or not, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're going to do what's comfortable for you because you're playing backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's all going to fall down into who you are as a player. So I feel like what helps me is knowing what kind of corner you are.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because if you sit in second or third move, you sit in second or third move.
Yeah.
You're going to always sit second or third move. You're not just going to get the game time and decide, you know what, I'm going to sit on the third move today. I've been always doing second, but this game, you're going to do what you do best, and I'm going to try to stay with that and make sure I'm paying attention to what it is. And if you switch it up, I'll try to be on that too. So.
Okay.
You know, we just saw some
paying
B-roll
attention.
of you making some big catches and a couple of high point catches.
Mhm.
What is that like in this system here? Because Devontae made some of the greatest we've seen last year. You can go up in double coverage and grab that high point catch. How much do you work on that?
That's all my life, you know.
Yeah.
Before I even knew I was gonna play football, I got brothers, so we'll be outside. You know what I mean? Like you already know what time it is. I'm outside. We playing moss, jackpot, you name it. Like we out there, we trying to dunk on each other. So I guess that's just something I've been in training for and not even realizing it. You know what I'm saying?
That is awesome. I'm seeing if you guys are gonna line up. I'm seeing.
He almost got me.
That's what I'm saying. I can see
You know
it.
what I'm
I can
saying?
see
See,
it.
I ain't leaning back. He the one leaning back. I'm always ready. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying.
I'm just soft. I'm just soft press right now. You know,
That's all.
what
Do
he's
me a
gonna
favor,
do.
because I like teeing you up. You know that. Tell them how many career INTs you had.
Around 54.
54.
Yeah,
Doing your
54.
thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm still a show me guy.
Yeah,
I'm a show me guy. I gotta see it.
Yeah. For sure. Who's the toughest guy you went up against in the league so far?
Ooh, my rookie year, I would say Steph.
Okay.
That's probably 'cause that was just a learning experience, definitely a humbling experience. You know, somebody who's smart, athletic, and then not gonna say nothing after they beat you. I'm like, bro, say something, like get me going.
Right.
But nah, he beat you straight up, dude. Got talent, man. So that was something, and I was kind of doing a lot of scout team reps at that time. So I'll be going against him any chance I can.
Yeah.
Who the D? I got it.
Do you talk on the field? Do you?
I used to, but I don't learn. You know what I mean? I'm
Okay.
paying attention, like I said.
Right.
So just a lot of the guys who I look up to were quiet players who just did their job. So I kind of try to take that mode on.
Take that mode.
What do you think of Vegas now? Before coming a Raider, coming out here with your guys, getting a quick trip in, weekend. Now that you're going to be here, living here, setting down some roots. What's jumped out at you at Vegas so far?
Man, Vegas is beautiful. Honestly, I only thought it was the Strip. Being from the East Coast, I'm like, you go to Vegas, you're going to gamble, you're going to do something you ain't supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? But nah, it's nice family life out here. They got nice parks. You know what I mean? It's goals outside. The weather nice until the summer.
Yeah.
Until the summer. But nah, it's just real cool, man. You can do whatever you want, and that's why I like Vegas a lot. Like, it's really your world, and you just got to decide how you want to live it. So.
Well,
but you got this beautiful facility, you know, so when it is hot out, you can come in here. And
right.
How cool is this facility? Like I said, you came here last year, obviously, but just being here, how nice is this for you to know this is your home?
Nah, it's futuristic here, man.
I like that.
They
Futuristic.
really,
I'm going to use that.
Yeah,
I got
definitely.
that. Yeah.
They really put their money into it, and you can tell that they care about the players here. You know, just you don't do all this and not care about the players. The training staff nice, the locker room guys nice. It's perfect, honestly. So they give you all the reasons to be good. It's just my job as a player to go out there and be good. So I got to take advantage of all my resources and use them to the best of my
Well,
ability.
thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. We know you got a busy day coming up after Brian, but have a great and healthy year. Thanks for coming
Appreciate
on.
that. Thank you, fellas.
All right, more from Content Day on Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union.
What's up, guys? Appreciate it. What's going on? It's really cool. It's really cool. It's different. I like that. Hey, there we go. I gotta get a neighbor or something. Wow. Enormous. Awesome. Can't wait. What's up, guys?
Welcome, Jimmy! Yeah!
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, guys. Hell yeah, let's go. mindset I'll be bringing to the stadium is just a will to win, honestly. Bring all the guys along, get everyone on the same page, and go win some games here. These fans, I mean, I've played for some good fans in the past, but I've heard Raider Nation is different. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys, hearing you guys, and just feeling you on the field. The way they treat their alumni, I think it's one of the coolest things about the Raiders so far. Just, it's unique. It's very unique. That's what I'm talking about. It's my guy. It was a fumble. It was a fumble. Wow. Raider Nation, the stadium's unreal. Got goosebumps walking in there, and I just can't wait to see it filled up with you guys, man. Hear how loud you guys are and passion we bring. It's gonna be a fun year. Can't wait. See you guys.
We're at Arturo Canberra Elementary School, and it is Nevada Reading Week and Teach for America Week, and the best kickoff possible is that we have the Las Vegas Raiders on site, reading to young people, inspiring them, and partnering with groups like WSS, Quaker, and Bank of Nevada to provide services and real resources to young people.
When you have a Raider or a representative from the Raiders and Teach for America come to your classroom and spend that time, a Raider rep reads to the class, just the students' faces, how much they lit up and it meant to them. I could tell it kind of hit home that, wow, this is a big deal. I have their support, and maybe giving effort and being excited about reading goes a little bit further.
I think every young person needs heroes, they need inspiration, they need mentors to show them what's possible. And when we have athletes or individuals who are working on the back end of a sports franchise like the Raiders, you give young people access to what's possible. You see that with hard work and dedication and learning how to read, some things that we take for granted sometimes, young people have an access point to opportunities like fullback on the Raiders or being the chief sales officer for the Raiders. And having mentors and heroes for them in here just gives them that little inspiration, a little kick to do better.
We really appreciate the support that we had picking our school. It means a big deal. You know, our students there, they have challenges. They have things going on in their lives. So just picking our school and being there with our students from the Raiders, it means a lot. We all look up to the Raiders. It's an amazing community event. So just thank you. Thank you for spending the personal time. This is something our kids will remember for years or maybe the rest of their life.
You're listening to Upon Further Review. I'm your host, Eddie Pascal.
Good morning, Raider Nation.
Welcome to Raiders Roundtable. JT along with Q Myers.
He dissects the play quickly and makes the move to the football.
Welcome back to Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union. JT, Q Myers, and Eric Allen. A couple of great guests. More coming as we are live from the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center. It's Content Day. Excited to be here to have this access. So players are rolling in. We started at 8 in the morning Pacific time. We'll go up to 11:30. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. And on all the Raider platforms, we really appreciate your loyalty and following all of our podcasts and what we're doing on radio. You know, interesting talking to Jacoby. You and him had a little good. After that, a couple of photos there. I like when it starts. I like when you see something start. So you'll know him. He'll know you all year around the building. That's important to you.
It really is, because I love watching the film afterwards. And sometimes when you're watching television, obviously you're following the ball, but a lot of times what he does on the backside, play one, influences what happens on third down. And someone else may get the ball because of what he did on first down. Is he blocking, for Devontae after the catch? Those are the kind of things I love to see. And as we're walking through the hallways in this beautiful place, I can say, like, man, that was a great block, man. He wouldn't have, broke it if you wouldn't have blocked. So he's a complete football player. He has developed, and I enjoy watching him and all about what he's about.
And the wide receiver and cornerback and all that film study that you talk about all the time, that's so important and so critical. And you could tell that a guy like Jacoby studies a lot of film and learns tendencies of the corners, just like corners study the wide receiver.
And that's important because I think in the circles out here, we don't think of receivers as guys who are film junkies or what we call guys who are going to stay after practice and study film. But times are changing. And you have to, if you're going to be around this league and be successful, you're going to have to be able to study film, break yourself down, break your opponent down. And I used to really enjoy that part of the game because at some point in your career, if you're going to have a long career, after you're maybe 6 or 7, physically, you're not the same player.
Right.
You don't have the explosiveness, but if you have the mind right and understand the situation, and that's a lot what these guys are about. This new regime is about situational football. And if you can understand that aspect of it and control the things that you need to control, you can have a very successful career.
Let's move to the tight end room. No Darren Waller, no Foster Moreau. We wish Foster the best, obviously, with his battle coming up. Those are two big players. They made a lot of plays around here, Q. And then Michael Mayer comes in. We just saw him over there a minute ago. I think he's got to have a big impact. It was another position that I didn't think was a priority for the Raiders after they went out and got Hooper and O.J. Howard. I said, well, one of those guys are going to have hopefully an upside year and do well. But then they're able to see him at the end of the first round and go up and get him in the second round. You could tell he is a priority.
I was so surprised that he was still available.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people were surprised he was available. He was one that a lot of people believe was the #1 tight end in the class. And it was a very deep tight end class, so I guess it was pick whatever flavor you choose. But what I like about Michael Mayer is that I think he brings a lot, obviously receiving the ball. He's going to be a big target in the red zone. But again, I think with him blocking and then learning how to even be a better blocker, he's like the 3-tool guy. He's going to be able to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think last year we're in a bit of a bind because of the injuries. And sometimes when you get into what we call 11 personnel when the tight ends on the football field, if you have a tight end who's a receiver, it gives the defense, okay, hey, this guy's in. I can bring my safety in to cover him. I think what Michael's going to provide is versatility, being able to have him on the field at first, second, or third down because he can block and be useful in the running game, but also a guy that can catch the football, obviously. And I think that was what was going on in the draft. You had guys who are receiving tight ends and guys who are what we call more traditional. I think Michael's more one of those traditional guys.
Yeah, and what's important to me is when you have a jumbo-type package and you want to load up heavy because you got to run, you got to get it on 3rd and 2, he needs to be there.
Yes.
And if you can run behind him, if he shows that early, it's going to change the scheme of every defense we go up against.
It really will.
Right? Because then someone will be open on play action.
Yes.
You could fake that you're going to run behind him. I think the first couple of games are going to be really important because when we get to the schedule later on, opening at the home openers for Denver and Buffalo, this young man's got to be ready.
Right.
He played in big games at Notre Dame, nationally televised games in front of monster crowds. He's going to go into the belly of the beast in his first 2 games on the road against very good teams that have edge rushers there. And I think he's going to have an impact, EA, in the blocking game.
It has to start now, though, JT.
Yeah.
It really does. These practices, he has to carve out a spot for himself. We want to see him in week 1, week 2 be a instrumental player, but it has to start right now. And that's what this new regime is all about. It's not about, hey, we're going to draft you high and you got a spot. It's all circled out. No.
You got to earn it.
You got to earn it.
Yeah.
You got to find where can we get value from you?
Right.
What can you provide for us? And we need to see it in practice. We need to see the progression from day 1 to day 5 to day 10 to the first day of training camp. We need to see it in order for you to be on the football field.
You know, JT, you mentioned the jumbo package. Last year, Thayer Munford would come in the game, right? You know they're not throwing the ball to Thayer Munford.
Yeah, exactly.
So Michael Mayer, if he could be that guy and learn to block at that level, now he's a weapon, right? Because now you don't know if you're going to throw it to him or you're going to run behind him.
Yeah, this is a sneaky offensive line with him thrown into the package.
Right.
Because if he can play at that level, all of a sudden it's pretty strong. We'll go back to the receivers here as we just had Jacoby on, and it's obviously Devontae, but he mentioned Philip Dorsett being a speed burner out there. That's been missing. You need someone who could just run straight and bring a safety over the top, and then it would open up because Devontae's usually going to get double teamed. And if the speed burner on the right side, led by Dorsett, and they have some speed coming in here, especially with Trey Tucker and the slotter on the outside. EA, what's that like when you know the safety's going to have to rotate to that side of the field, and the other one's probably going to be on the Devontae side?
Yeah, and going back to last year, we saw Devontae being able to get on top of guys.
Yeah.
So when you have Devontae, who's known to be one of the best in the league, and then you have that speed factor. So now you can't have cornerbacks who are sitting on routes. You have to really respect that speed. And it is so important for our football team and where we play to have that quick strike. Hey, you know what? We're down 3, we're down 4. We can drop back and we can get a deep strike. We can get an explosive play to get us in position to win football games at the end. I think that has really been missing for the last couple of years, just that flat out speed to where we can usually, open the field up for crossing and deep, what we call dagger routes. So we have one guy who's flying down the seam, and we have another guy who's coming across the field at like 15 to 18 yards. That's going to be wide open because their fear factor of the speed.
That was an offseason priority, getting a lot faster.
Yeah.
You can see it. It was offensively and defensively. Getting speed on the roster was a priority.
Hunter, let's get to Hunter, the elephant in the room. A lot of fans wondering if he'd be here or not. He was concussed last year. He's on this roster. To get back to the numbers that he had 2 years ago, EA, would be pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
He set a bar for production that was incredible in the history of this franchise with Darren Waller, who put up big numbers, Tim Brown's numbers historically. So I think Hunter is very important here because how he fits into the system with Jacoby and Devontae being 100% healthy, 3rd and short, getting those big plays in the red zone. I think he's one of the best red zone players I've seen in a lot of years. The way he runs that quick route and can get open, and he's not going to get double teams as much as he was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, JT, I wonder how much is that valued in this system, the ability to be able to set guys up with the outstanding route running that he has. Is that going to be something that's valued in this system, or do you need to be in a spot when the quarterback's ready to throw?
Right.
We saw the difference the last couple years with him and Carr, and Carr could kind of wait for him, and he'd set that, nickel up, and he'd just take him to work, right? And it was very successful. But in this system, it may be more of a timing. So I think Hunter is going to have some challenges, right? It's not going to always be, hey, we're just going to wait for you to get open and set guys up. It's going to be a situation where you need to be here when I need you to be because you're working off of 2 or 3 other things that are going on.
And if you look at the history of this system, the slot receivers have been really good.
Yes, they
right?
have been.
They've been really good, but they've got to figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
That's an important point because I think he has figured it out. I think he can run every route. He's a
there's
pro,
no doubt.
a national champ. I think he can do all that. It's just a question of how many looks is he going to get.
Yeah.
As we often talk about, I like Devontae to get the most, right? Devontae, overfeed Devontae. But then when you have a game that's a really grinded out game in the 4th quarter, just to know that Hunter Renfrow and Jacoby are going to be out on the field together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both similar route runners, with Devontae getting a heavy dose with Josh Jacobs, Michael Mayer, Dorsett if he's out there.
Man,
I just think I'm hoping, I'm hoping that this is the Niners system where one guy was wide open. The success of Brady in the Patriots system, what is it? One guy's wide open because you can't account for all them. Q, I hope Hunter's one of those guys who really takes advantage of this.
Yeah, he really could. And really, if you go back to, his college time at Clemson, right? I mean, that's what it was. They had a plethora of riches on the field. And then there was big times, big moments where he needed to make a play. Winning the national championship game. That was him that was getting the touchdown.
You're right.
Right? I mean, but he had a lot of talent around him, so he could take advantage of all these guys that are on this roster right now.
Yeah, that's one thing that it's really special, I think, about Hunter is he doesn't need to be fed a lot of balls early to be able to make that big catch late.
Right.
Not everyone is like that. Some receivers need targets early to get like in the flow. One thing that I really respect about Hunter throughout his career is he could go a quarter or two without having the ball, and then we need that 3rd and 13. And you know what? Hunter Renfrow is there to make the play. And I think that's something that's going to really carry him.
Quality over quantity, really.
Right. I know you wanted to hit on Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
Saw him out there.
Yeah.
But when his name was called in the draft, I think everybody was shocked.
Yep.
But not everybody in that scouting room. That was their guy.
That was.
He was there. They wanted him. What'd you see at OTAs when you look at the film of him, how special he could be in this
He's
system?
got speed to kill, as we all know. But, I mean, the willingness to work. I mean, you could see him working. I mentioned going from, one drill to the next drill and how quickly they were moving. I mean, you could just see him kind of in Devontae's ear, just trying to learn from the veteran. And just he's a guy that's going to do a lot of different things. Obviously, he brings a special teams ability as well, kick return, punt return, and, again, that speed. And even as we were talking to Dave Ziegler earlier, just being a gunner, being a guy that's willing to go down there and tackle. This guy's got a wrestling background, right? He's got that wrestling background, so he's a tough dude, right? And that's important, especially on special teams.
Came from Akron. Dave and Josh familiar with that area there, but also a team captain. They have several team captains on this team. I think he's going to be a really big X factor.
Yeah.
Because if he explodes in training camp in the preseason, and he becomes a real option to be out there. Not a guy coming in on 3rd down. He's a rookie. We're going to bring him around slow.
Yeah.
EA, what's it like? You've been around this league a while when someone just blows away expectations at training camp in the preseason. And not only do they make the team, he's obviously going to make the team, but he's going to play a lot.
And most of those guys have played a lot of college football. And that's really important because they've seen a lot. And to be able to explode and have some effect your first year as a rookie, you have to really fall back on a lot of those tough times when you're in college, maybe year 2 or 3, and you haven't been on the field much, and then you get that opportunity. And how did you get that opportunity, and what did you do with that opportunity? Those are the same situations he's going to be in here on the National Football League, and you love that these young players who are coming on this football team have played a lot of good quality football.
When we come back, more player interviews. It's a busy day here. Players are coming in groups. We're going to get them coming up as we continue on Raiders Roundtable right here. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Thanks for listening to us later on Raider Nation Radio as we continue. Welcome back to Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union, JTQ Myers and Eric Allen, as we're at the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center. It's Content Day. Max Crosby will join us in a little bit. We're supposed to have Andre James. We have the GM, Dave Ziegler. So we're enjoying the access that we have today. It's an honor to be on again. Thanks for downloading, subscribing to the Raiders YouTube page, Raiders Roundtable, all of our podcasts, and listening throughout the day on Raider Nation Radio. And Q, I'm excited here because guys are starting to roll in.
Yeah.
Guys want to talk. They're excited to be here. And I really want to go back to what Dave Ziegler told us in the beginning. He went position group by position group and how he added to this team in the draft and the offseason and free agency.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of guys that are versatile. I think that's the word that we keep going back to so much is the versatility of these players. They can play multiple positions and they do it well, right? And they're able to really implement this system offensively and defensively to improve the overall product of the team.
EA, we're going to go to the secondary, your expertise. I think it's really important when you understand Dave Ziegler. He wants these hybrid guys.
Yeah.
You're either going to stay on the field or you're going to come off the field and you're going to go right back in because you can handle all of this. We haven't spent a minute yet on Nate Hobbs. I think he is critical for this team because I always thought that he would develop into, and not when he was a 5th-round pick, but after seeing him year 1 and what we saw last year, he was banged up a bit. I just want to know he's not coming off the field. He's either starting outside corner, he's the starting slot, he's there in the nickel, whatever he is, and I'm expecting him to be an elite player, and it's got to start now.
It has to, and he had a tremendous rookie season.
He did.
Played mostly inside, and just had a great feel for the game, had a knack. And again, one of those players who played a lot of college football, so he could put himself in situations and be successful. Last year, because of the injuries and just the changing in the defensive backfield, played a lot of outside, didn't feel as comfortable. And it's different,
right?
When you come from a position of success when you're playing inside and then you're asked to go outside, receivers are attacking you in different ways. The ball's coming out a little bit differently. You know, your leverage and everything's a little bit different. And that's a great learning experience for him.
Right.
And now coming into year 3, he has a great toolbox to be able to utilize. He says, hey, I'm going to work on some of those deficiencies I had on the outside, and if I can play inside and I can be inside, you know he's strong. Strong tackler, good in coverage. You love the essence of him and how he feels inside. So hopefully he's the inside guy, starts off inside and develops into someone who can start to trying to chase guys around.
Right.
So you know what? You match up well against this receiver where if he's inside or outside, you're going to go inside or outside.
His physicality really stood out to me, right? And when he came back and returned from injury in that Chargers game, the second one was at Allegiant Stadium. They were talking about barbecue chicken, and that was something he even talked about after the game. But you saw how physical he was, and it really threw the wide receivers off. You got an understanding of what Patrick Graham wants to do with the corners if they are able to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm looking at David Long Jr. here and Tyler Hall, and Dave mentioned Faison, and it goes back to someone here also that I think is going to have a big impact. Amik Robertson's still here.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a new regime. If you're still here, that shines a light to me because they have the opportunity to deconstruct this roster and bring in who they want. And Faison year 5 is what I really like. And then when we go to the rookies who are coming in, Jacorian Bennett, I want you to touch on what you saw from him.
Yeah.
The access that we heard from the draft and now what he's doing, because they could have took another player. They could have took Ringo out of Georgia. They decided to take him, and that's going to be the player I remember, the comp, who has a better career.
Well, I'll tell you, he's got speed to kill. We talked about the speed was something that was a priority in this offseason. Jacorian Bennett ran stride for stride with Philip Dorsett at the OTAs, and that stood out to me in such a way because Philip Dorsett is so fast. So to see Bennett running, like I said, stride for stride, I thought, wow, he's got something.
And that's important because usually when – you know, at this level, when we think about a guy who's a speed guy, we don't think he's a mobile, flexible, hip guy. He's just, hey, you know, you just run straight ahead.
Right.
Bennett has some flexibility to him. And I think that surprised a lot of folks in this football team. Hey, he's a speed guy, but also he's a little more athletic than maybe we have thought. And so that's a huge get for this football team if you can get a guy who can run, you know, the 4.4s or 4.3 and then have some explosiveness and then be able to have a little wiggle with him. So you're not going to be, you know, in a position where your hips can't open and you're running. Those kind of things are really important as far as the footwork is concerned.
And he had a lot of people throwing balls at him in college because he had Deonte Banks across from him, who went in the first round. So obviously having the ball going his way, he's used to that.
Yeah.
Great point.
So
he had someone on the other side who was a lead player. But this is an important pick because the Raiders have struggled in the last 4 or 5 picks with picks in this range. Max went in the 4th round. We'll talk to him. This guy's got to play.
Yeah.
I mean, he was not taken as a developmental player. He's going to develop. He's coming into the NFL, but they saw something with him that was clear they had to have him. We talked about the players that went in that group, Aiden O'Connell, another player right around that point where I was wondering, are they going to go D-tackle? Are they going to get a starting corner? Well, this is their starting corner, and I hope it doesn't take a year or two to develop him because he's got the skill set, as Q said, and the speed, EA, to come in and make a difference early.
Okay, so a couple things here. 1, 6'5" wingspan, which tells me you can press and you can press pro press, not college press, because college press, you know, you get your hands on a guy, you throw him out of bounds. It just doesn't work that way. But pro press, you're able to really what we call soft shoe. So you're going to stay just in his shadow, not getting penalties. And then another thing, another senior has played a lot of football. Right, had another guy on the other side who was good, so he's received a lot of passes. So he's had a lot of football playing, and I love that aspect about the younger guys. Played a lot of football. They have certain aspects physically about them that can help this football team.
I'm also interested in, you came to the Raiders year 10.
Yeah.
Do we need to find the next Eric Allen, a 10-year vet who could come in with something to prove still, who's had a great career? Because they don't seem to be going in that direction. They're not going to overspend Q on a player for 1 year. And they know a lot of good players in that New England system who played at a high level in their roles there. It seems like they want to go in a different direction, go a little bit younger if we look at the ages here.
No, there's no doubt. And the thing about it is, you mentioned, they're disciplined. They're not going to overspend, right? I mean, there was a time last offseason, I believe I was pounding the table for them to go get J.C. Jackson. The Chargers did spend a boatload of money and got no production whatsoever. So Dave Ziegler has shown that he will be very disciplined. Go get the guys that fit what they want to do, and then lean on the younger guys as well.
Yeah. 2 years ago, we tried that with Hayward.
Yeah.
And Hayward was a productive player.
I thought he played really well.
Good, yeah.
I love Casey, a really smart guy, but he didn't have the numbers.
Right.
And I think that's the one thing. If you're going to go out and get someone, you got to almost have a guarantee that guy's going to get you 4 or 5 interceptions. He's going to be a leader in that room. And maybe they didn't see that, and they saw these younger players, particularly with the aspect of getting the ball. That has to be such an emphasis for this football team, for the defensive backfield to get the football.
One more player before we have Max come on. I want to talk about Trayvon Merrick. He's got to have a big year because he's done everything. I look at him as a center fielder who plays a little too deep, like at the warning track, and he keeps everything in front of him. He needs to get to the ball more. He's a good player in this league, but I think he's got to take the next step. I'm going to say he regressed last year, but he didn't have a lot of pop plays in regards to turning it over. What do you think of him?
Injuries played a little bit of a factor last year as well. Changing the system played a little bit, but I covered him a lot when he was at TCU in the Big 12, and he's a player. Right? He's a very versatile player, can do many things. He's got to, in my opinion, he's got to be able to, once he gets his hands on the ball, make the play.
Yeah, important about safeties in this system is you have to find a way to know the situation and understand what the offense is trying to do to put yourself in the best position to make a play, and I think that's a maturing process for him.
Well, get the hands on the ball. That's what Eric Allen said.
I get it.
Just get the ball.
Let's get the ball.
Hold on to it when you get it.
Right.
I've held it for 2.5 hours.
I know. You're good. You're good right now.
Great segue to Max Crosby, who's kind enough to join us. Thank you so much, Max. Great to see you. As we're talking defense, and it's the perfect time. First off, this day for you now that you're a veteran, part of this franchise, a face of the franchise, picture day, you come in content day. How have you grown throughout this, and how do you like today?
It's a lot. You got to get a lot of things done, but I'm having fun with it. At the end of the day, like I was just telling them, I'm blessed. We're all blessed just to be here, and we're just excited. It just means football is getting closer. We got minicamp this week, so we're fired up, man.
What is it like for you now? You are the veteran. You mentioned before that you want to help mentor a Tyree Wilson. Chandler's going to do the same thing, but it's just a different role for you as the face of the franchise.
Yeah, definitely. That's been a huge focus of mine, is just taking that next step as a leader. Speaking up a little bit more when needed, and just being my full self. Not shying back when I think something is wrong, speaking up, holding everybody accountable, and, holding myself accountable, because they see what I'm doing on a daily basis, and they already know I'm not going to leave a box unchecked. So, I feel like I've earned that right to now take that next step and, hold everybody accountable and lead the way I want to lead. So I'm fired up about it.
You're the guy now, Max. I mean, wherever you go, it's like the cameras are on. But first, give me some dad stuff. What's going on with the baby, and how's that going?
It's been amazing. She's not even 8 months, and she's flying around the house.
Does she sleep at night or what?
She's getting better.
Okay.
She's a little inconsistent at times, but. No, she's active as can be. She's throwing things at me now. She's trying to talk. She's saying "Dad" a million times. But we're having so much fun with it.
Yeah.
Just seeing her grow has been incredible. So,
and how has that change helped the dynamics of the off-season workout, what you're doing, and things like that?
Yeah, it just every time I come home, I know. I'm be ready for war. You know what I mean? We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna go out and run 18 gassers.
Yeah, you already know.
Being home, right?
100%, exactly. I just spend a little bit more time in the hot tub and cold tub. No, but it's honestly it's amazing.
That's awesome.
Just seeing her grow, it's been the coolest thing ever. Time's flying, and everybody has said the same thing to me. Like, you don't realize how fast it goes. Yeah. Just take advantage of every moment, and just be present. And that's really all I've been focused on. Obviously, besides being in the building, when I'm out, is just being present with my daughter, and it's been really cool.
So nice. Let's take a look at you with the alumni out at practice, and this means a lot to you. And I've seen that development knowing you since you've come here, and how important these moments were for you with Phil and Craig Townsend. What's it been like, and how much study time do you put into the history of the Raiders? Because all these guys want to see you first when they show up at practice.
Yeah, it's something that I really took serious when I came into the league. Being a part of the Raiders is not like any other organization, and the history is one of a kind. And I've really taken the time to learn about the past teams and the history of this organization. And there's so many legends and so many guys that really changed the way the game is played. And like Phil and Ted Hendricks, and being able to know their, not just them but their families, and taking the time to really learn who they are as people and what made them who they were. And it's been incredible. I remember being in Oakland my rookie year. It was actually Napa for camp, and Phil came and talked to the whole team. And I told, in that video, I told him, I'm like, you changed my mindset. He had this speech that was it was the wildest speech I've ever heard, but it really hit home, because that's what it takes to be at that level, be a dominant defense. And those guys are the ones that I look up to, and it's incredible.
I just want to follow up with Ted Hendricks. I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah.
If you look at his career and what he did off the edge on special teams, blocking kicks, you've had a little bit of that go on. And then just to be a hybrid guy that can go from one side to another. Your conditioning now, what's different? I mean, you're a big UFC guy. What are you changing and evolving with when it comes to your conditioning?
Yeah, honestly, that's always been something, people like to point out is, being a white DN, the first thing you hear is blue collar, he works hard, big motor, that's what they talk about. And you really, you can't avoid that. But at the end of the day, I truly, my conditioning is something I feel like separates myself from everybody else in the league. And I take it super serious. And boxing has been a big thing these last 2 years, doing a lot of boxing, training, which is a whole different type of training, whole body, really will take you to a different place, when it comes to conditioning and cardio. So, yeah, for me, I have my base routine of what I do, my extra, you always see me doing the hundreds and gassers and things out to practice, but bringing other guys along with me has been also a big part of that. And just exploring. I went on a 10-mile run when I went to Miami for the UFC fight. Hunter Campbell, he works with Dana. He called out the room. And he's like, "All right, tomorrow morning, I'm going on my runs." And everybody's like, "Nah, we're not going with you." And he's like, "We're running 10 miles." And I'm like, "All right, screw it, I'll go with you." And I've never done anything like that. And I ran 10 miles in Miami, hot as hell, humid.
My goodness.
And I really this offseason has been just really testing myself and putting myself in deep waters when I don't know if I can float or not. And that's just been a challenge. But that's what it's a direct translation. And I go out on the field and I'm never worried about, all right, do I have to take a little bit off or pace myself? I feel like I can go all day, and I've just gotten in better and better shape as the years gone on.
Speaking of alumni, Matt Millen told me last week that you're a guy that looks like a Raider, right? Just the way that you handle your business. And he said that he always told Howie Long that you weren't that good. He's like, "Howie, you're not that good. You got to keep pushing yourself." What do you use to keep pushing yourself? Because you know where you're at, but you always have told me, "I want to be better. I want to be better. I'm working on my craft."
Yeah, honestly, I'm so far from where I want to be. Not only, from a personal standpoint, but as an organization, I want to win. That's the number one thing. I literally start from in January, and I don't stop until January. And I want to be playing in February. I want to be playing in the biggest games. I want to be on TV. I want everyone to see the work I'm putting in and see what this team is doing. And I take a lot of pride in that. And obviously, the money and all that's cool, but that's not why I started playing football. I started playing in second grade. I've been playing my whole life. This is what I want to do. This is my legacy. I feel like God put me on earth to play football and be an example of overcoming adversity. And I truly believe this is just the beginning for me. I feel like I'm going to take a whole nother step this year. And in these next 5 to 7 years, I'm really going to be entering my prime and being the best version of myself. And that's why I take it so serious. That's why I talk about my craft and my work ethic. And I really talk about it because I take it so serious and I do it on a daily basis. And that's all I know. And I really want to maximize my career at the highest level, and that's why I put so much into it. And I feel like my legacy at the end of the day is the most important thing. What I leave, when I'm done is everything.
Yeah, a lot of the young players have similar stories about overcoming adversity on this football team, being able to rise, and haven't been always easy for them. And I think that's one of the themes that are going on with these younger players. What are some of the things that technically you need to work on to reach that level?
Yeah, I feel like there's not one specific thing that I focus on. It's not like, okay, I'm not good at this. This is my main focus. I feel like I could do a lot of things at a very high level, but I always focus on the 1%. Like, I feel like my routine is great, but there's always room for improvement no matter what it is. So whether it's football, whether it's my routine, whether it's my nutrition, whether it's pass rush specific, whether it's the run game and how I'm using my hands, like, there's always things I could get better at. And that's why I'm constantly just watching myself. Like, and I talk to the young guys about this. A lot of people talk about film and how do you watch film and what do you do? Like, I got this from Rob Marinelli, but he's like, the most important film you need to watch is yourself. Like, constantly watch yourself, start with your feet, and then watch your hands. Are you active enough? Are you getting off the ball? Is your pad level, what it should be? So, like, I literally just, all the time, I'm just watching games from last year just over and over and over again. Right. And I truly enjoy that. And I know what it's supposed to look like when I'm at my best, and I know when I'm not at my best. So I constantly can work on that during the week and in practice. And okay, last game I feel like my pad level was a little bit too high. I feel like I was slightly hesitant in my pass rush. My get off was a little bit behind. That's what I'm gonna focus on in the week. So once I'm going to the next game, the last game is I'm over with, and I'm just focused on how I can do better. And I'm constantly, that's just how my mindset is every single day. Is like, all right, if today wasn't 100% perfect, how can I get better tomorrow? And if you just stack that up every single day all year, you're gonna give yourself the best chance to succeed.
To follow up on that, is there any specific player who's playing now or who played in the past that you kind of pattern your game after and then you went to your own thing?
Honestly, I really when I started playing football, like, I was a fullback and a linebacker, and, like, you know what I mean? I played receiver at one point. I played tight end. Like, I played a lot of positions, and I didn't start playing DN until my senior year of high school. I hit a big growth spurt, and they're like, you're not playing linebacker. You're too big and stiff. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I need to, whatever. But honestly, I'm a fan of the sport. Like, the history all the way back to, and this is another one. I give credit to Marinelli all the time, but he really evolved my, like, mindset when it comes to, like, the history of football and just, like, D-line play. Like, I have guys from, like, Doug Atkins to Warren Sapp to like the old school Vikings with
Marshall,
like
Alan Page,
like all, like, real old school stuff. But, like, those guys were like unicorns. Like, Doug Atkins is like 6'8", hurdling people back in the 70s and 80s, and he ended his career, his last play was a sack and got carried off the field. Like, that's legendary, and like that was way back in the 80s. So, like, I really don't like to just put it with D-line. Like, I grew up, I was a huge Megatron fan. I was a Lion fan growing up as a kid, like, being in Michigan.
I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Yeah, trust me, I know. It was terrible. I'm glad I'm a Raider. But, yeah, like, just I'm really a fan of the game, and I appreciate every position, and I just love the game of football. So, yeah, there's not one guy that I'm like, yeah, I want to play like him. Like, my vision in my head, like, even when I was in college and high school, like, I always, like, envisioned what my favorite player would look like. And I try to just be that. I want the kids to look at me and be like, yeah, I want to play like Max Crosby. And, like, that's like the #1 compliment. So, like, I really try to just – I don't try to be anybody. I just be myself on the field. And the fans see it, my personality. Like, I'm just 100% me when I'm on the field. And that's what I try to just do every single day.
Max, for our listeners and our viewers, how should Raider fans believe now? We hear about Patrick Graham. He wanted faster, more explosive. Dave says smarter players. So players come and go. Denzel Perryman's gone. We talked about Hayward being gone. This is a business. You're a foundation player here. When new players come in, like Spillane and Epps, and you believe this defense is going to evolve and get better, how could we see that? How's that going to happen?
Yeah, I love the guys that we brought in. I love what we're doing. On the outside world, everybody's going to have an opinion, especially when you're not winning. They deserve to, have their criticisms. I get it. We're 6-11. last year. It's not good enough. It's unacceptable. And I take it extremely personal. So, yeah, the fans have a right to be upset. But I know this. I know guys are putting in work right now. We have a close team. Guys are off the field doing things together, and we're doing the right things to put ourselves in a position to be successful. And the outside opinions, you know, we appreciate them, because at the end of the day, when it's bad, you're going to know it's bad. And when it's good, you're going to know it's good as well. So I've been on the Raiders for 4 years now. We've been in the playoff one time in my 4 years, and that's just not good enough. So I totally understand where the fans are coming from, but I really do love this group. I feel like the coaches, you know, coaches and players have really looked in the mirror and realized, okay, this is what we need to do. What we did last year was not good enough, and it's simple as that from top to bottom. So if we get a bunch of guys on the same page that are bought in on winning, not just individual stats, not just, all right, I'm going to have my success, I'm going to be good. If we do it for each other, everybody's going to have success. Everyone's going to, you know, do above and beyond of what, you know, the outside world expects. So it's really about just buying in and believing in the guy next to you, and that's going to give you a great chance to win. And like I said, you know, people have their opinions on what we should do as an organization. We need to draft this guy. We're getting rid of these guys. What are we doing? What are we doing? They get paid for a reason, you know, upstairs, and they have a vision of what they want. And I would be crazy if I didn't believe in that. They believe in me. I believe in this team, and I feel like all that matters is the guys in this building putting in the work every single day, and we have to go out there and produce for the fans and just prove everybody that we're a good team and got a lot going for the future.
What have you noticed differently from last year, OTAs? I mean, I've been out there a couple times, and it looks like you guys are moving around station to station faster. I'm noticing you go and kick the ball, make sure you put your foot on the ball and touch it first. It just seems like there's just a lot more intensity, even though it's early on.
Yeah, you know, I feel like at the end of the day, football is meant to be, it is a game, and it's meant to, you're supposed to have fun when you're out there.
Right.
And I feel like that's what a lot of people forget, and especially being at this position. You know, there's a lot of money on the line, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of things going on, but it's football. Football is a simple game played by a bunch of grown-ass men. And it's just, you know, you have to truly enjoy it. And if you're not having fun out there, if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to win.
Right.
If you're always tense, you're worried about, all right, are we not going to do, if you're thinking about it too much and you're overthinking, you're a step behind already. And I try to encourage my guys, like, run into the ball, like even in warm-ups, like I'm trying to beat everybody, and I'm just on purpose just to piss them off. But like, I try to keep a friendly competition. I try to keep as many handshakes as possible, and like really just try to bring fun into the game, because at the end of the day, we're working relentlessly. Everyone's putting in work. Everyone takes it serious. But at the end of the day, you got to have fun. You watch the Warriors, they've won 4 titles. They're out there having fun, smiling, flying around, and they trust each other. And that's what it's really about, like being on the same page, having fun, and just working together and never leaving a guy behind. And that's been my mentality, not leaving any box unchecked, bringing the guys with me. If we're going to do extra runs, it's a cult. Y'all are doing it with me. And if you don't do it one day, you're done. You're not doing it. The grip workout's the same thing. We have an army of people in there doing the extra grip workout with me. And like, that's what it's really about, is just having fun with it, but also realizing you can't let your teammates down. You got to be there every single day.
Max, one more quick one. What do you want to do in the community? I know how much this community means to you. You mentioned Michigan back home. In about a minute or two, how do you want to wrap this up with how you want to evolve and grow in the community?
Yeah, so I got a big announcement coming.
Okay.
I'll let all the details and all that come out, but I'm starting my first foundation.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm having my foundation, and I'm super fired up about it. We're going to do a lot of things, going to cover a lot of ground, but, you know, focus on mental health, teen addiction, animal rescue, covering a lot of things. But I'm starting that up. I'm really fired up about it.
Awesome.
Be able to help, you know, people not only in Las Vegas, but all over, from Michigan to Texas, and, you know, just be able to give back in the way I want to. So we're going to be doing a lot of great things. They'll be announced here in the next week or so, and I'm super fired up about it. But, yeah, you know, it's all about giving back at the end of the day. Last week, I was able to talk to 30 kids who just graduated dealing with teen addiction. Kids, you know, going through what I went through, and seeing them, you know, kids having 4 months sobriety, a year sobriety, and being able to stand in a room with them and talk and share my story is really what it's all about, and just giving back. So, yeah, you know, it's an honor every time I get to do it. That's why, you know, after my first year of sobriety, I came out and told my story about, you know, how I got clean, is because I can come back and help somebody out, and I'm able to do that every single day. And it's honestly, it's the greatest thing I feel like I've accomplished in my life.
Thanks for the extended time. We know you're busy. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Max Crosby joining us as we continue right here on Raiders Roundtable.
That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Hey everyone, my name is Akbar Bajabiamila, and today I'm checking out one of the hottest dining spots in Las Vegas, Mandalay Bay's Strip Steak. Now, when I'm in Vegas for one of those Raider home games, spots like this are some of the best places to grab a bite and have an incredible dining experience. And if there's one thing Vegas knows how to do, that's to bring in some good food, and we know how to eat some good food. I'm ready to order everything on the menu, so let's go check it out. Come on. There he is.
Akbar, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Doing very well.
Donald Johnson, the HEC, the head executive chef, man.
Please come have a seat.
All right. What's strip steak all about?
A strip steak, honestly, just food and friends and family and just having a great experience. We're take a modern approach to a steakhouse. We have a lot of influence from Asia.
What's the go-to? What's the staple here?
Those hamachi tacos. That is absolutely amazing.
Oh, stop it. Oh, yeah. That's the best crab cake I've ever had. Raider fans, they love a good game, they love excitement, and they love food. Why should the Raider fans come here?
First and foremost, it's in our backyard. It's literally across the street.
Yeah.
It's a perfect way to come over after, cheering on the Raiders and have some dinner afterwards. I mean, what pairs better than a little steak and football?
What can guests expect when they come here?
Very simple.
Yeah.
A great time.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. What's the secret recipe in that back kitchen?
I think that the ingredient is people. I think I have a great team behind me and everyone believes in what we do. This right here is our prime rib. So we age it in duck fat, little garlic on the outside, fresh horseradish, our truffle au jus, a blue cheese stuffed popover, and a little truffle shuffle right here for you.
Hallelujah. If we had the entire offensive line from the Las Vegas Raiders here at Strip Steak, do you think they eat you guys out of a kitchen?
There's no way.
There's no way.
It is not possible.
That's a game I want to watch. That's a game I want to watch.
Challenge accepted. I will put them boys down.
Chef Kyle Johnson, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the food. It was amazing. It was a blast, man. This right here feels like heaven.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Akbar, for coming by.
Thank you.
Byron, welcome to Raider Nation, man. Yeah, we're excited for you to eat some space, to feed some blocks, beat up the middle of the pocket a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, you're coming to a place with, Raider Nation, incredible fan base, incredible facilities, best facilities in the league that, allow you to utilize your skill set, and just a bunch of good dudes on the defensive line from Max to Chandler, and some veterans inside with Adam Butler, John Jenkins, Bilal Nichols. I mean, you're going to learn from a good group. We're excited to have you, and we're going to have you tear this thing up for us.
Yes, sir. I can't even get up there.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, you enjoy the moment, man. You earned it. This is a special thing. So you and your family enjoy this moment. We'll be in touch real soon.
Going to Vegas.
Marcus Epps, safety, Las Vegas Raiders.
Marcus Epps, after the juggle, Epps comes up with the ball.
That is one unbelievable interception. I mean, that is almost impossible what Epps just pulled off right there.
Just looking forward to, honestly, just the daily grind every day, just getting to know my teammates, getting to know them on and off the field, and, going through those just everyday battles of working out, practice, all of that, going through all of that together.
Marcus Epps A loss of a couple.
I mean, it's just a storied franchise. I mean, long-rooted history, incredible fan base, and those things were very important to me as well when making my decision. I'm excited for the opportunity to play for this organization, and I can't wait to get to work.
Marcus Epps.
Raider Nation, Marcus Epps here. I'm really excited to be a part of Raider Nation, and can't wait to go out there and give you guys everything I got.
The Las Vegas Raiders in Allegiant Stadium have announced plans to elevate and expand its premium suite offerings, introducing 100-level club suites for the 2023 season. Completion for the expansion project is expected for early fall ahead of the start of the Raiders' regular season, as well as marquee events and concerts, including Beyonce, Ed Sheeran, and Pink. For more details, visit Raiders.com/club suites or call 702-463-5132. We are back on Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union. JT, Q, Eric Allen, and center Andre James kind enough to join us. And Andre, great for giving us a few minutes. Really appreciate it. You got to like this. You've been here a little bit now. Content day, media, to see everybody out there, get some pictures. How you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good, man. It's my 5th time doing this, so just trying to get it to fly by and having fun, man.
Make it go faster.
Yeah, trying to.
What about the new players, especially on the O-line, and the guys now that you're a veteran, you're trying to break in? Explain to them what happens every day in this building.
Yeah, it's going good. We got a couple of new faces, but for the most part, we're able to return a lot of guys, which is really exciting. It doesn't happen all the time, so we're just super excited to build on pretty much how we finished last year running the ball, and teach some of the younger guys that are coming up in that room, and we're excited. Got a really good room.
How important is that to build that continuity? You guys really established it about halfway through the season, and then we're able to go the rest of the way. To know that those guys are coming back, you guys are all able to be on the same page early.
Yeah, right. Building that, especially as a position like O-line,
right?
Having that familiarity, playing with guys you haven't played with a lot. It's really important. So we're excited.
Yeah. Talk to us a little about that room. Like, the offensive lineman's room is always different. As a corner, I'm walking from lunch, going through, you walk past the offensive line room, you guys are in there, it's dark, you guys are cracking jokes and stuff. Talk to us a little about the makeup of the offensive line room.
We got a lot of big personalities in there.
Yeah.
It makes it fun.
Right.
So when we get together, there's always going to be good food when we're around. There's always going to be snacks. There's always going to be jokes being cracked.
Snacks, right?
Yeah, a lot of snacks. And we make sure the rookies stay on top of that.
Your conditioning looks great. What's changed from last offseason to here? What have you been working on?
You know what I mean? I stay here pretty much all off season. I work with AJ Nivel and his crew. They do a fantastic job of keeping us in shape. The workouts are amazing. So I'm pretty much been with him my whole career since I'm a Raider, and him and his staff are amazing. Hats off to them.
You got this building. You mentioned being here all off season. How nice is it to have this building where you can do that, be here all off season, and really get to work and everything you need?
I try to get as much of the younger dudes I can to be like, hey, this is a great place to be. Free food. You're not paying for training. Like, what? You're in Vegas. What else? What else could you need? So I mean, I love being here all off season. It's great.
My guy.
Yeah.
If it ain't free, it ain't me.
Exactly. 100%. That's me all day.
Yeah. Every off season, like all the players, you have something that you want to work on, right? What was it this year for you that you wanted to get better at?
I think for me, just being able to understand the offense, I think is a big thing. Yeah. On a mental side, especially as a center. It was a lot coming in. It was just different coming in to the system, and so to be able to build on that as like how we finished last year and understanding the system more is really big for me.
Okay, to follow up, don't give us any secrets, but like how was that different from one specific? Because people think you're just snapping the ball, right? But this system totally different from the previous system, and how kind of.
You know what I mean? It's different. So in the last system, I was in charge of a lot of the mic calls and a lot of maybe the redirection calls as far as like pass protection.
Yep.
It is a lot more on the quarterback as far as mic protection, but the fronts and understanding the idea, there's still a lot on the center. And communication and being able to get it out quicker is very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people say that, and I think it's true, that Jim Otto is one of the greatest football players of all time, one of the most important Raiders ever to play. You're a center, and I know there's a lot of history in this building, but Dave Dalby, the other centers who played the position, the history that you're now taking in, because that's what you do here. When you hear about Jim Otto, Pops, he's in the building, he's in a wheelchair, but he continues to come out here on game day. What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, it means a lot, honestly. We had an alumni day a few days, ago, and it was so great to be around these guys and, kind of pick their brains about, what was their mentality about going in the game. And it was awesome. That was the first time, we've really done something like that. And to see all these legendary dudes come in and just be able to talk to them and just, get their feedback of what they thought, their mindset, like what I was saying. It was awesome.
Now, we got the drone. Hold on a second. I want to say, we got the drone.
I hear it.
So you're our first player that we have with the drone. For those who are watching, listening, we have the drone. We're bringing everything.
I'm hearing the drone. I'm hearing it. But those legends, those alumni, they were out there at OTAs, and they were able to observe practice, and some of the media and myself was out there. You guys look like you're moving around to station a lot faster. It seems like there's more tempo than there was a year ago. What's been different from OTAs this year as opposed to last year?
I think understanding, we have a lot of returning players, but like I was saying, especially on the O-line, now we're able to, I think, understand the drills and understand, the techniques and stuff what these coaches are asking. So we're able to move around because we're more confident. We understand the drills a little more. So, you know what I mean? It's a little different when you're just out there for the first time. You're like, I don't know where the hell I'm going. So it's a lot better now.
Right.
We're able to move around a lot better.
You guys had the league-leading rusher last year.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you back that up coming back this year?
It's hard, but you can only want to duplicate it again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
It was an awesome job. I thought Josh, it made our job easier blocking for a dude like that. You want to block for a guy like that who's going to hit it downhill. He's going to hit it fast. It's fun. So, you know what I mean? We're just going, like I said, we're just going to keep trying to build on what we tried to finish on last year and just keep going, man.
Yeah.
When does a moment like that hit with you statistically? You want to win every game. We know that. But all of a sudden there's some chirping going on. It's week 12, 13. We got the leading rusher. We know we're going to get a gift if we finish this year. I mean, when does it start coming around that you have so much pride and honor, you want to get him to the finish line? That is a great achievement, single achievement record to have every year for a running back.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And especially for offensive line, you want to be able to run the ball. That's offensive lineman's mindset, because then it makes the pass pro a lot easier when they're having to worry about play action and all that stuff. So it's fun. I mean, that's what offensive lineman you want to hang your hat on, is that rushing title. So
take us back to Seattle with the walk-off run from Jacobs, that long run. You as a center, you're seeing 28. All you see is back of his jersey.
I'll tell you what, man, it was a long game, and I think that was honestly one of the first drives we had. And I remember just blocking my guy, and I saw him hit that hole, and I just saw his back, and he was running. And I was like, please don't get caught. Please don't get caught. Please don't get caught. And he housed it, and the rest was history.
Yeah. For a center, what's the highlight moment of a game? Like when you're going to the game, what's a highlight moment for you as a center?
You know what? I think whenever you're able to communicate clearly and everyone's working on the same page, that's the best part. Because like I said, a lot is on the center, and to have all those 5 guys on the same page as far as the blocking scheme and everything, that's what you can kind of hang your hat on as a center. So.
A Vegas question. We've asked all the guys this. You saw the Golden Knights the other night. I was with you for that. That was Stanley Cup Game 1.
Oh, yeah, awesome game.
And you got a spread, and you're watching it, and then you see Alumni Day was amazing, the dinner that you were a part of and all that. What's changed for you in Vegas now that you have roots in this city? What do you like about the community?
Man, I really love this city. I've been here since we first moved here, originally in Oakland for a year, but the city showed a lot of love, and we felt that right when we got here. It's been awesome. They definitely opened us with welcomings. So, man, it's awesome. We love. There's a lot of good food. There's always something to do here. So, as offensive lineman, you gotta love the food that's in this city.
Can't be mad about fine dining in Vegas.
It always gets back to the food, right?
Yeah, always. I feel like I've been talking about it for all this damn meeting. So.
That's right. So as we wrap this up, expectations this year. You guys had a real chip last year because you were working out the rotation. You were in it, but it was 6, 7 guys going into the preseason. You bring in some younger guys that you guys being familiar with each other. What's the message for the fans coming off 6 wins to know you could turn this around really quickly with an explosive offense?
Yeah, I mean, we're just coming to work every day with a mindset of just getting better. So, I mean, that's what we do. We just have a bunch of workhorses every day that are just coming in here. We're pushing each other. I can speak to the offensive line room. It's a great room, and we're willing to work and we're willing to put in, whatever it takes, to be better and to do what it needs to take, man. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this. We really
thank you for having me, guys.
All right.
Andre James, everybody, as we continue here, as we're talking about the offensive line, everything that's happening overall, he's going to get going. More pictures, more work. Thanks again for doing this. Fantastic.
You.
Really,
Thank you, my
can
man.
just tell the focus and the leadership of what he's been doing now, year 5. And I like what he said at the end. Started in Oakland. That we know how important. You're a Bay Area guy. How important that is. The connection to the Oakland Raiders and the move to Vegas. He's a good. It doesn't feel like he's been around that long.
It really does.
Right?
It really does. It's like, man, this is my 5th one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think, to me, and I don't know him well, but the conditioning is a difference. He looks like he's a little bit more trim and bigger and stronger than that valuable position.
And again, I like the fact that he's kind of letting us know how important that center position is.
Right.
We automatically assume offensively the quarterback is just, does everything. But the center has so much responsibility to make sure that the blocking schemes are correct and the mic is picked up and kind of identifies, where the running strength is for his football team. He has a good head on his shoulders and doing it.
And Dylan Parham's in the room.
Yeah.
And he's a center, too.
Yep.
And he's evolved to play multiple positions. I think Andre is super important this year because Jimmy G is not getting the reps now, and we're all expecting Jimmy G to be back.
Yeah.
So whatever they're doing in film study, it's very important because the limited amount of time, because we're not going to see Jimmy G much in the preseason.
Right.
So they have to get a lot of work in, Q. It's going to be very important. Their chemistry is hitting those first couple of games on the road in loud environments.
Exactly. Communication and chemistry.
Yeah.
Those are going to be the 2 biggest things, and he touched on that, talking about the communication. And last year it took so long for them to find who their starting 5 was going to be consistently.
Yeah.
Now they know that this year, so at least that will help in that communication. They just got to build that chemistry with Jimmy.
I love the 0-0, though. You got to go to talk about Otto.
Yeah.
It was, going back to Max, he mentioned Ted Hendricks and Phil, and then he mentioned Greg Townsend. Well, Greg Townsend has the franchise record for sacks. Everyone thinks it's Howie Long. No, it's Greg Townsend.
Yeah.
And when you think of Jim Otto and what he was able to do, and the history of this franchise is he was there and took us all the way and retired before the Super Bowl, but all the big games that Otto was in and Freddie B before they broke through. Jim wasn't there on that Super Bowl roster, but he was the heart and soul of those old Oakland Raider teams back there, and I feel like he gets that.
Yeah, and there's a great, iconic player at each position, basically.
Right.
I'm talking about Raiders alumni, someone you can kind of look at and kind of wrap your arms around and say, hey, you know what? If I really want to play the game the right way, I can look at a guy who wore the silver and black, who was right there in the room on Alumni Day. So this is again, goes back to the traditions of this football team and the type of football players that have come through this Raiders organization. And it's just incredible.
Q, what's interesting, I know we both on radio talk to the Pro Football Focus guys. Now that you play offensive line, you're graded.
Right.
I mean, every snap.
Every snap.
They have
graded.
people watching you directly, and his improvement is really important there. And as we wrap it up with the offensive line, you pointed out how great they were in the run game. He was proud to say that. Q, I think the passing game now, they got to get better.
Yep.
They're not an elite passing team when it comes to that offensive line. I think the expectations as they come back in the units together another year together, they'll improve.
And that's the next step. It really is. And also having a quarterback that you know is going to get the ball in his hands quickly, right, and accurately, and knowing the system. It goes back to knowing the system as well. It's all got to be one good, great unit. And again, it goes back to the chemistry. They've all got to develop that chemistry so they can be on the same page.
Yeah, it has to be.
I'm looking at the depth. There's some undrafted guys.
Right.
And he talked
that
about
are going to compete. These guys are going to compete
They
too.
are going to compete.
Yeah.
One thing we learned many things last year about Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. The best player is going to play.
Yes.
If they got to take a rotation out to 7 players on the O-line, they did that for a reason.
Right.
They thought that, and we'll wrap that up, EA, they thought there was competition coming out of the preseason. I don't know, what was that, up until week 5, 6, or 7?
Yeah.
Until they said, okay, we're going with you guys.
Yeah, and that's important for the guys in the room to understand, man, if I have a great week of practice, I have an opportunity to play. There's countless players who have lost control of that dynamic being in rooms where, hey, they're just going to play this guy until he's hurt.
Right.
I mean, they're rolling this guy out. You know, his leg is halfway off, and they're still rolling him out because the number and the name on the back of the jersey. It's not like that here.
No.
Right? You got to perform. You play. You compete. You have an opportunity to play.
When we come back, we're going to get into it on the defense. Got a new safety in Epps who played in every game for a Super Bowl contending team in Philadelphia last year. We'll talk to him as we continue on Raiders Roundtable.
We're in business. Today I'm going to be making the famous Raider nachos here at Nacho Daddy on behalf of the Dairy Council. So I'm fired up. Let's do it.
Daniel, are you ready to make nachos?
I'm ready to make nachos. I have no idea what I'm doing in the kitchen, but Chef Ruben's going to do a great job teaching me some tricks of the famous Raiders nachos. So
I'm going to walk you through.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, grab one of these bad boys.
Yes, grab your chips. Beautiful nachos.
So when did you invent the Raiders nachos? How long ago?
That was in 2011.
2011.
Yeah.
Wow. So that we were still in Oakland at that point, obviously. Were you a Raiders fan?
Yes, I am.
I love it. And now you just got lucky. You won the lottery that was in here, huh?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Grab your taco meat and put all of this meat all over this one.
All right.
You're going to grab this cheese, delicious cheese.
Okay, cheese. Very important. Nachos, all right. Same thing.
Yeah.
These are good. There it is. Look at that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to put on the oven.
How many nachos have you made in your lifetime, do you think?
Probably like 3 million nachos.
3 million?
Yeah. That's a lot of nachos.
That's a lot of nachos.
Yeah.
Do you have different types of cheeses? What do you?
Well, we use
nacho
cheese blend. We use yellow queso, white queso.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other dairy products do you typically use?
We use sour cream.
Sour cream, obviously.
Milk. We have milk, of course.
Okay.
We have different kinds of cheeses, like cheese blend. Cheese blend means it's jack and cheddar cheese.
Okay.
And white queso is American white queso.
Okay.
And yellow queso is American yellow queso. So we use a lot of queso here.
Okay. Please tell me a little bit about the history of Nacho Daddy.
Wow.
You got 4 locations here in Vegas,
Yes,
correct?
4.
And we were talking briefly before.
Yep.
Or there's 2 more opening throughout the country, really.
Yep.
In Nashville, and where was the last one?
Nashville, we have one in Duluth, Georgia. We got one in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Utah, we're spreading out. I love
Yeah,
it.
a lot.
And,
Wow, we do
more
good things on
cheese.
Nacho Daddy.
Awesome, yeah. I'm fired up.
Look,
That's fine.
You want to take George out?
Looking pretty good right now.
So we're gonna put delicious avocado lines and cheese on the nachos.
Okay. Look at that. Looks like I've done this before, I feel like.
Yes. So now we're gonna put sour cream. Just like that.
It's got 3 prongs here. All right. Come on.
You know how to make nachos, Daniel.
I'm ready.
You're ready. It's gonna like that.
It's like that one celebrity chef. What's the name of it?
Beautiful. So now we got our fried jalapenos. Do like this.
Important to have a little kick with your nachos. Wink, wink. That one was good. There we go.
Now we grab a little bit of lettuce. Put it right in the middle.
Okay.
Just like that.
Right on top.
Now you grab the delicious guacamole. Yes, right in the middle. Beautiful.
Wow.
Wow, Daniel, you know how to make nachos.
I know. Careful here. Alrighty. thank you for Nacho Daddy and for the Dairy Council of Nevada and, all the people that helped us make this happen today. Go Raiders, go Nacho Daddy, go Raider Nachos.
When you're a part of a team, there are expectations. And one of the things I expect from my team is trust. I work hard to win, and I trust my team to work hard too. That's why I feel good about America First Credit Union. They're my financial team, and I trust that they'll always be there for me and my community. I'm Hunter Renfro. Join me in the America First team today.
60 years in the making, the Raiders now have a permanent place to call home, and the doors are open to get a world-class behind-the-scenes tour of their new home. An attraction unlike any other in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. The Las Vegas Raiders invite you to experience the expertly guided tour that includes exclusive access to areas restricted to only football players, coaches, and staff. For more information, visit AllegiantStadium.com/tours.
We're back on Raiders Roundtable, brought to you by America First Credit Union. JTQ, Eric Allen, and Marcus Epps joins us, newest member of the Silver and Black. Thanks so much for doing this. And as we were saying off camera before you came on, you played so many games last year for a great organization. You didn't come off the field, and then you get rewarded by coming to this franchise to help as a trusted player. How's that responsibility feel?
Honestly, it feels really good. I mean, from my journey, it's kind of always been, just being the underdog from, being a walk-on in college to 6th-round pick. So, it really felt like this offseason, like all that hard work was coming together. And, it's a blessing to have this opportunity that this organization, I mean, storied franchise, they see that trust in me, and for them to come get me, it felt really good.
Do you consistently remind yourself about that journey to keep that fire burning?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always want to have that chip on my shoulder. I always want to feel like I have something to prove. I never want to be complacent. I always want to keep that hunger and keep that drive and keep working and striving for more.
Yeah, it seems like the Raiders have a bunch of guys like that who's had to overcome adversity. Talk to us a little about last year and how each week you have to play at your best. Each week you have to get that secondary kind of in the perfect position to make those plays. Talk to us about the journey, the successes, and some of the failures.
Yeah, it was a really fun year last year. Obviously, it didn't end the way we wanted it to, but, had a lot of fun playing football with that group of guys. And, it's like you said, I mean, in the NFL, it's a week-by-week thing. Whether you won the week before or you lost the week before, you got to, stay level-headed. You can't look too far in advance on the schedule. You can't look in the past. You got to bring that same fire, that energy each week. And be prepared, or you can lose any given Sunday. So you got to kind of have that, just stay even keeled throughout the season, stay focused, and keep working each week.
We're watching a couple of your plays here on the B-roll, making it deep in the end zone, behind the line of scrimmage. How do you describe your play, the running game, and especially being on the back end and being a ball hawk at times? What's the best description of the style you play?
For me, I like to think of myself as a pretty versatile DB. I feel like I can play free or strong. I feel like I can slide down in the slot and play nickel if I ever needed to. But that's just, that's for my work ethic in the off season of just always trying to sharpen my tools, sharpen my skill set, so that anywhere I'm asked to play on the field, I feel comfortable. Whether it's in the box, whether it's deep in coverage, low in coverage in the slot, I want to feel comfortable. So I make sure to put that work in the off season to always sharpen my skill set.
How much have you embraced that leadership role also in that secondary room now, being brought in as a free agent?
Yeah, it's been cool, man. Honestly, coming in, I just wanted to make sure that I was being myself. First and foremost, I wanted to make sure I was really getting to know the guys and making an effort to get to know everyone in the room. And then I feel like I feel like that leadership comes. It's got to come naturally.
Right.
You know, I didn't want to come into the room and try to like really force it. I just wanted to, you know, develop those relationships and, you know, be a part of the group. So, you know, so far it's been going really good. Everybody's been very welcoming. I think we got a real good group of guys, so I'm excited to see what we can do this year.
Man, you're always around the ball. I mean, you pop on the film, you're always in the right spot, always around the ball, and it's not easy, right, in this league because everyone's looking at you as far as opponents checking film out. How are you able to stay consistently around the ball?
I think it's just film study. You know, each week you got to make sure that you're prepared. I mean, if you can come in prepared, if you know what the offense is going to do, it makes it a lot easier out there. So I think that's what I would attribute to the most is film study.
Yeah. So to follow up, what are the steps? Did you come into the league like that? When did you learn it if you didn't? And how have you continued to do that?
Honestly, I feel like that's been one of the things of, you know, as a young player, it's kind of like sometimes when I was young, I would feel myself watching film, but kind of be like,
what am I watching?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't really know like what I'm watching, what I'm picking up on. You know, I feel like the last 2 seasons is when I've really gotten into a really good routine of, you know, watching cut-ups, knowing what I'm looking for, whether it's play action pass, boot, third down, things like that. You know, my previous DB coach, Denard Wilson, he helped me out a lot with that of just, you know, how to watch film, the certain ways to put on the tape, how he did it. And, you know, I've kind of just, the past 2 seasons, I've stuck with that, having my routine now, and it's helped me out a lot.
You know, Marcus, I was excited when they brought you in quickly because it's a need.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some good players here, and you're going to mentor some of them. But Patrick Graham needs someone like you to kind of flip this thing quickly. We just had Max on. He's fantastic. And Chandler Jones, Tyree Wilson goes number 7 overall. Robert Spillane comes in with the green dot. But you're really important because this thing's got to change. There's got to be some interceptions, some fumbles, take it back the other way, and get that angry defense going. You just played on one of those defenses. What was that like? What can you bring to this organization coming off your recent success playing on a defense that was just flat out nasty?
Honestly, I think a lot of that is it's really just a mindset, and you know it doesn't just happen in the games. It starts in practice, and I feel like, you know, right now it's early, right? But I feel like we've come in with a good mindset. You know, I've seen the improvement, you know, day in and day out of, you know, guys really making an effort to learn the defense, to get more comfortable with the different coverages that we're running. So I think that's where it starts, right? Of just knowing, you know, how you can play different coverages and whatnot. And then from there, it's just a mindset of bringing that attitude each and every day in practice of, you know, I'm going to go get the ball. So, you know, once you start doing that, it just becomes habit, and you know, good things start happening in the games.
You know, you talk about you see it developing, you see it getting better. There was a play, I think last Thursday maybe in OTAs, where a ball was tipped, it dropped to the ground, and 2 plays later a ball was tipped, and I think Trayvon Merritt came away with it and took it the other way. Is that part of the conversations even being had in the secondary room, like get to that ball, you got to get to that ball?
Yeah, definitely, and that's what, you know, PG's been talking about it a lot. Coach Ash, Simo, you know, they've all been talking about, you know, getting our hand on the ball, you know, and just going out there and making plays. You know, that's what they're trying to do with the defense this year, is give us a little bit more freedom on the back end to go make plays. So, you know, I'm really excited about, you know, how we're taking those steps every day. And, you know, I'm really excited about what we can do this year.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list here. You know, Chris Smith comes in at Georgia, winning the titles, and I see USC, Miami, and then Wyoming, right? So take us through the transition from high school to college. You talked about your situation here. You've had this chip for a long, long time. What was the big moment for you in either high school or college where you thought, yeah, I can do this. I could be a pro eventually?
You know, as crazy as it sounds, you know, I've always just felt that way, you know, just since I was a kid in Pop Warner, man. I've always just, you know, had that thought in my mind, like, you know, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to make it happen. And I've never let anybody, you know, deter me from that mindset. I've never let anybody, you know, I've never let anybody else's expectations of me come on to me. I've never let anybody else's disbelief in me change the way I feel about myself.
Nice.
So, just from there, I've just always kept it going. I've always made sure I put the work in, and, I've just continued to get better. So
that's that California cool, JT. That's the California, Yeah.
Well, EA, well, it's interesting because you played with Jerome Brown and Reggie White.
Yeah,
You're one of the great Eagle defensive backs of all time. What I love about this situation here, we're going to ask you about the legends who played here. So Lester Hayes.
Yeah.
And you look at the defensive backs, Mike Haynes, and then the safeties who have played over the years. Charles Woodson was having a conversation with George Atkinson the other night about Jack Tatum. And Charles, the Michigan legend who was from Ohio, was hearing George talk about Jack. So you hear about Jack Tatum and the players that were around that alumni weekend. Did that resonate with you who have played in this defensive backfield over the decades?
Yeah, definitely. And then even, last Thursday when we had that alumni dinner, just, hearing, all the guys talk about, the history of this franchise. I mean, there's a lot of culture here. There's a lot of history here of, winning. And, it's one of the most storied franchises in the league for sure. So, it's a blessing to be able to play for this franchise, especially being an LA guy. I know how big the Raiders fans are back home. So, I'm really excited to be back on the West Coast, be close to home, and play for this organization.
Well, there's more Raider fans in LA still than Ram and Charger fans, no doubt. But I got to ask you a big one about the fans, because Eagle fans, Raider fans, there are similarities.
There are.
Matter of fact, I'd say that might be one of the biggest similarities. What was it like to deal with the Eagle fans game day afterwards, critical or positive in your play? And now Raider fans, very similar. They're notorious is the word you hear a lot. They're demanding. They're really smart. They're going to expect the best out of you.
Yeah, I've kind of learned to, block out the expectations that are outside of this building. To me, the expectations that are the most important are the ones that are in this building. Because, it's hard to see everything that's going on when you're not inside this building, right? So, I know the work that we put in as a team. I know the work that we put in together, what we strive for. So, I think those are the most important things to remember is just what's in the building is what matters most.
Well, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Have a healthy year. Really excited you're here.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
There he is, Marcus Epps, newest addition to the Silver and Black. There's the drone.
The drone.
There it is. More drone coverage coming up.
JT.
There you go. Right here, Raiders Roundtable as we continue.
You're listening to Upon Further Review. I'm your host, Eddie Pascal.
Good morning, Raider Nation.
Welcome to Raiders Roundtable. JT along with Q Myers.
He dissects the play quickly and makes the move to the football.
You're going to be a Raider.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Yes, sir. I know you are. And you have a lot of the traits and skills and obviously the qualities that we're looking for here to try to build our football team. So,
Jaquan, how you doing, bud?
How you doing? How you doing?
Good, man. Welcome to Raider Nation.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. I'm ready.
You're joining a special fraternity, especially of cornerbacks and defensive backs that have played here in the past that have excelled in the Hall of Fame and enjoyed an amazing fan base and it's going to be it's a special place. It's a special place with best facilities in the league and you're going to have a chance to maximize your ability and we couldn't be any more excited to add your talent, add your character, and have you come out and compete, man, and earn whatever you can get is whatever you earn is what you'll get.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right, man. We'll go enjoy. You'll see it coming across the screen here sooner than later, and we'll be in touch.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Where you gonna be? Raiders.
I want to take this moment to welcome all of you to Game Changer, honoring Sheldon Adelson and Mark Davis. What exactly is a game changer? It's a person that leads an event, an idea, or procedure that affects a significant shift in the current manner of doing or thinking about something.
Sheldon was an amazing visionary who had the internal fortitude and drive to accomplish his dreams. The Adelson School, which is in itself a great accomplishment, was only one of the many important contributions that Sheldon and Miriam have made to society.
My husband Sheldon built a business empire. He invented new industries. He reshaped entire skylines and coastlines with his genius.
Mark's father, Al, was larger than life and always ready for a fight against all odds. And he was a game changer in sports. Mark took that foundation and changed the face of Las Vegas in a way only a football team could do, and especially the Raiders.
I'm truly humbled to be up here and being honored on the same program of a true game changer of Sheldon Adelson. I think all of us in this room owe Sheldon, Miriam, and the entire Adelson family a great big thanks for everything they've done for us, whether it's building some of the biggest convention centers in the world or the philanthropy and everything else, and I'm just so proud to be associated with them.
Feeling great, you know, finally here in Vegas, you know, with the teammates, and finally get to work with my other brothers that came in the 2023 draft and the other players that have been on the roster. I'm here now officially. I'm ready to get to work and be a part of the Silver and Black.
The Las Vegas Raiders and Allegiant Stadium have announced plans to elevate and expand its premium suite offerings, introducing 100-level club suites for the 2023 season. Completion for the expansion project is expected for early fall ahead of the start of the Raiders' regular season, as well as marquee events and concerts, including Beyonce, Ed Sheeran, and Pink. For more details, visit Raiders.com/club suites or call 702-463-5132. Wrapping it up on Raiders Roundtable, presented by America First Credit Union. What a day today. What a day. Exciting to be here. What an honor it is to be a part of this podcast on YouTube, what we'll be doing all day long on Raider Nation Radio, and all the guests that have come by, from Dave Ziegler, Max Crosby, Brian Hoyer, Andre James. We just had Marcus Epps on. And the one big takeaway from me before I get to the schedule, EA, is the calmness around this place. You know, at times the fans aren't calm. We deal with that on the front lines, and I understand why. Max put it best, 6-11, you want to be better. Everybody has a buy-in here. They really do. They believe in this coach, this GM, and the system. Now they got to get going, and a lot of that's going to have to do with the schedule. Like it or not, they're going to have to come out flying this year.
They will, and this is so important to establish the foundation right now, where that is individually, as a unit, understanding the system. So important to put that groundwork in now, so at the beginning of the season, you're in a very positive, you have opportunities to win football games early on. Last year, obviously, everyone's getting new to the system. We had some shake with the offensive line, the injuries. This year, everything right now looking really swell.
And the attendance at OTAs has been great. I mean, we all know that they're voluntary, but you should should be attending.
Yeah, you better be here.
Yeah, you better be there.
Yeah.
But they are. And
Yeah.
they're there, and
Yeah.
they're working, and they're putting in the work, and especially the leaders like a Devontae and a Max. And I'm seeing these guys, like I said, kind of lead their position groups. I think that's real important moving forward.
Let's take a look at the schedule here. And, you know, they say the good, the bad, the ugly. I don't see there's any ugly here. I got the great, the good, and the okay. The great for me is the primetime games. I went nuts last year. I thought we got the raw end of that deal.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough home marquee games. What I don't like is I don't like Denver first and last, too far in between. I don't like Kansas City so close, week 12 and week 16.
Yeah.
And the toughest part of the schedule is the home openers for Denver and Buffalo, EA. So not only do the Raiders have to come out quickly, they have to come out quickly on the road. And that's hard to do. You played at the highest level in this league. We really beat Denver up over the last 3 or 4 years, but that's Sean Payton's first game.
Yeah, and in the locker room and in this building, because of the success that we've had against Denver, we're going to be confident.
Yeah.
And that really bodes well for the whole offseason, knowing that a team that you have beat up on, we're going to face week 1. That makes the workouts, that makes the training afterwards, the conditioning so much easier, JT, as a player, knowing like, man, we've kicked these dudes' butts.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm going to go out here and finish practice with 3 or 4 gassers or some hundreds or whatever it may be, because I know we've beat these guys before, and if I'm in top shape and we play our game, we're going to beat these guys again. So that is really important. I know they have a tremendous coaching change and they're very positive up there, but our standpoint, it's the same helmet, same uniform, same fan base. We're going to kick their butt.
What do you think about the fact that Jarrett Stidham is there, and obviously only system he's ever been in is Coach McDaniels, and they agreed to a deal with him before the Raiders even agreed to a deal with Jimmy G. So obviously they wanted him. How much of a role will he play leading into that Week 1 game?
Well, I think with our team and this system is really based on the weakness of the opponent.
Right.
So whatever weakness we see in that Broncos defense, we're going to try and exploit that.
Right.
And so Stidham may say, hey, you know what? You guys are not very good in the middle of the field on 3rd down. But he's not going to have an idea, what's going to happen. And Devontae Adams don't care either.
All right, let's get to the most anticipated games, because this schedule is absolutely loaded. Home, primetime games. Q Myers, I'm going to start off with you. We'll take a look right here. Give us your most unique game, the game you anticipate the most.
I'm really looking at that first home game. You know, so it's a primetime game. It's against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, their fans travel well. I think the Raiders, as an organization, as a team, need to start establishing their dominance at home. They've got to start winning a bunch of games consistently at Allegiant Stadium, and let it be known that if you come to Allegiant Stadium, there's a good chance you're going to go home with an L. And that includes with the fans as well. Pittsburgh's going to be a tough out, and that's the first one of the 2023 season. So that's the one I'm really anticipating again in primetime as well.
I tell you, the Steelers always play well, defensively minded football team.
Yeah.
Gives you a lot of different looks defensively. Of course, Watt's going to be able to get out. He's one of the best edge guys in the National Football League. That's going to be great to see Watt and our guy Crosby kind of going at it. And it's going to come down to, you have a young quarterback in the Steelers.
Right.
Can our defensive backfield get some picks early?
Right.
Kind of limit what they're doing big play-wise.
I'll tell you what, JT, it'll be a lot warmer than it was last year when they played them, right?
No doubt about it. And that game bothered me. That was the Franco Harris game.
Yeah.
Raiders really needed it and came up short. But EA talked about a young quarterback and what they have here with Pickett. That's got to give us an advantage to go win that game. Q made a good point. I think 2 out of the top 4 or 5 travel teams in NFL history, Pittsburgh's either 1 or 2 with the Dallas Cowboys. The Raiders are in the top 3, 4, or 5. So Pittsburgh's going to want to come. They're going to want to buy tickets. They're going to want to get in the building. They're going to bring the terrible towels. And depending on what the Raiders do in those first 2 games, because the Buffalo game is brutal. That's just a tough game because it's a Bills home opener. So the Raiders, I'm hoping they're playing with house money coming off a Denver win and going in there loose, and then you got to turn around and come home. But, Q, I'm happy you picked this game because it's a prime-time game, and the Raiders should be getting prime-time games, but you're not going to get them if you win 6 games. And I thought they rewarded the Raiders this year. They gave them a couple of more prime-time games Raiders have to take advantage of that space.
There's no doubt. I was surprised that they were awarded with as many primetime games as they did, and I'm glad, like you said, put them on display. Maybe the league knows a little bit more than others think, right? Because, again, usually you put the teams that they expect to make a super deep run on the primetime games, but one, the Raiders have a team that's up and coming. They obviously have stars on it, and then there's also some teams that they're playing that are going to be high-profile games like this one, this Pittsburgh game.
And that building over there is beautiful.
Yes, yes.
No doubt. All right, we call it E's Keys. Now this is E's chance to give it. Well, I don't know what this is going to be. This is your most anticipated game. Yeah. Let's get to it.
What else? Everybody knows EA is going with the Chargers, right? Because we hate those Chargers. Can't stand those Chargers. And every year at the beginning of the season, you know, they have the odds for the Super Bowl. They have the great quarterback, the receiving core, the linebackers, the defensive secondary. And every year, it's an opportunity for us Raiders to punish that powder blue, for us to punish that football team. Again, fan base, we love to get after this football team, the Chargers. Yes, they have an amazing young quarterback, Keenan Allen, Big Mike Williams. They have a new offensive coordinator who came from Dallas. I think it's going to help their quarterback get to the next level. Austin Eckler there is a throwback type of running back, all 3 downs. Derwin James at safety. They have so many outstanding players named. We need to find a way to keep this football team under us. We can't have this football team in the playoffs.
Couple of things. We know that the game at the Chargers is a home game for the Raiders. It is when it comes to crowd size. Not even close.
Right.
The Chargers, one of these years, are going to get it right because they're always injured. It's either Mike Williams or Keenan Allen are out.
Yes.
Derwin James is out. One of these games, everyone's going to play.
Right.
And they're going to be better than expected here. But the Chargers lost a game where they were up 27-0 in the playoffs to Jacksonville.
Yep.
Okay, it wasn't one of the greatest teams of all time. I don't know what that sting must be like because if they were up, 14-10 and lost or 21-17, I get it. That was one of the biggest collapses in NFL playoff history by a pretty good team. And that ended their season, and that fueled their offseason. Yeah. That's a very interesting game you pick here. I think they're going to come in as good as we've ever seen them on paper.
And that goes back to last year with those questionable situations and comebacks from the head coach. So right now, when you're talking about hot seat, you're talking about a young quarterback who has talent around him and a coach who has struggled a little bit with holding leads. He's on the hot seat this year. It's very important in that first game that we put it on him to increase that hot seat for that football team.
I think that's a good point. And when you brought up Kellen Moore, the new offensive coordinator, I'm interested to see how that dynamic works. He's a guy that when I covered him with the Cowboys, he wasn't running the ball a whole lot. He had some guys that can get it done. He likes to throw that rock a lot.
All right, now I get to my most anticipated
There you go.
game.
There you go.
It's a game after you two guys, but early in the season. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packer game for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
I think it's going to be an important moment in the season. We're either out of the gate or it's a little bit, we're 2-2, whatever it is. For the Raiders to win and have another primetime game here at Allegiant Stadium early Monday night, there's no Aaron Rodgers. There's Devontae here going up against Jordan Love. The Raiders have to win this game, and they have to make a statement.
Yeah.
And this statement, because when we get to the middle of the schedule, I think that's where all Raider fans believe they can go on a run. They could win 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6, 5 out of 7. First part of this schedule is tough. I don't think we're getting a breather anywhere, but this is a game we have to win because Jordan Love is coming in, and it's not Aaron Rodgers' cue. And this defense is – you're going to know about Patrick Graham's defense if a young guy who hasn't played could come in here and put up points. This has got to be the first game or maybe the second game of the year where the Raider defense dominates and walks off the field at home.
Well, it goes back to what EA said about a young quarterback when he was talking about Kenny Pickett and the Steelers. You get a young quarterback that hasn't played a lot of football and Jordan Love, there could be opportunities to make more plays, right? So, again, going back to Patrick Graham's defense, that could be on full display that game.
Yeah, that's where the length of that defensive line. You're talking Jones, you're talking Tyree, you're talking Max, all that length up front. So if you don't get there because it's a little mobile, you can get those hands up, get some batted balls, some tips, overthrows, things like that from a young quarterback who hasn't seen the type of pressure he's going to be under when he comes and plays this Raiders football team with that outstanding front of ours.
This could have been the Devontae Aaron Rodgers game.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers isn't there. We better take advantage of Aaron Rodgers not being there. So the rest of the schedule, as we look at it again, where is the gauntlet part of the schedule. I lead to believe that the first 4 games is a gauntlet.
Yeah.
You got the Chargers, you got Pittsburgh, Denver, Buffalo on the road to start off the season. That is no cakewalk. But then when you get to week 9, 10, Giants and Jets are in the building back-to-back at Miami, then Kansas City at home. Yeah, I don't know anybody who likes a week 13 bye week. You would have liked that around 9 or 10.
It's kind of late.
There?
Yeah.
A couple things that stick out to me. All AFC opponents those first 4 weeks.
Yep.
I mean, you're right, JT. All AFC opponents, that's when you really, for us, that's going to be the fight for a playoff spot.
Right, yep.
And then you think about, when you talk about a schedule, you have to say to yourself, what quarterbacks am I playing?
Yeah.
Right.
That.
Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Mahomes twice, the Chargers twice. You know Denver's going to be better. Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. This is a schedule loaded with terrific quarterbacks. So we got to be on our game. Our defense is going to have to find a way to do something really well, right?
Yep.
Either turn the ball over, stop the run, be great on third down, be great in the red zone. We have to do something really well.
But how about embrace the shootout? Some of these games, last year, 5 second-half leads, losing those games. How about this year exploding and trying to put teams away, Q?
Yeah.
Go up by 14. Don't lose the lead. Expand on the lead. That's how I think the Raiders are going to have to win a lot of these games. I don't think they're going to be 10-7 games, 14-13 games. I think they got to put up points.
Well, what they had to do and what we saw last year is that they have to learn how to play with a lead.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it's a certain thing. You either, how do you slow it down? How do you speed it up? Keep the foot on the gas, like you mentioned multiple times. Just, and I think with the weapons that they have on offense, especially now, and a guy like Mayer, I think he's a guy that not only will help in the red zone, not only help blocking, but also extend drives, right? Get an extra first down. Get us 2 extra first downs. All of a sudden, now the defense is off the field a little bit longer, get a little bit more time to relax. And so when you have that drive that you must stop the team, that Max Crosby's able to come in fresh, Tyree's able to come in fresh, Chandler's able to come in fresh and close the door.
They got to be ready to play.
Yeah.
Last year they
Bottom line.
they were undefeated in the preseason. Schedule got away from them earlier with that Arizona loss was brutal with Kyler Murray. This year I don't know who's going to play. I don't care who plays. But whatever happens, they're going to be playing in the Mile High week 1 against a team that they've dominated with a new head coach and a quarterback that's going to want to prove he's back. That's a monster game.
A consistent high IQ in the back end.
Yep.
If we can have that, so in those situations when we need to prevent them from getting 10 yards, we're not playing a guy at 5 yards. We're rallying to the ball. We're forcing the ball to be thrown where we want it to, and we're rallying and we're tackling, JT. How many times last year, me and you, tackle, no yards after the catch. So those important details of football are going to be extremely important for this football team that's not young, but it's a young group altogether.
Q, final thoughts today. Content day, you did a hell of a job. Your first one right here at the Intermountain, right? Excellent work.
This is a lot of fun. It really is being here, being with you guys, and being able to see, how everything's kind of put together, right? And see these players get out there and take their pictures and know that, okay, we got mandatory minicamp this week, and then boom, it's time for a little bit of a break, and then training camp, and it's on. So it's been a lot of fun, man. It really has, and being able to interact and talk with Dave Ziegler and Max Crosby and Brian Hoyer and others, I think that's been a nice treat for the fans as well.
EA, what was your favorite?
We had Max, guys. What could be better? He was one of the best defensive players in the National Football League.
Hey, just don't crop us out of the picture. I don't want to see that picture with all 4 of us and then you up there just having you and him.
I was sitting here with Max, man, right here. Max was right here.
Unbelievable. And Q's also our program director on Raider Nation Radio, so we got a busy day in front of us, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do, though, right? I mean, this is what we love to do, and we're going to continue to do it.
Hardest working man in the business.
That's what we got to do. And by the way, I've had this ball the whole time.
I know you have. You have.
Signed by
Great job.
Hey, I want to thank the crew here.
Yes.
You got fantastic.
Thank you.
Will Kiss, who brought us everybody, the entire Silver and Black production staff upstairs. I mean, when you get an opportunity to be in a building like this on a day like this, we want to thank everybody who watched on YouTube. We'll continue. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with everybody. Follow us on Raider Nation Radio. When you get that mobile app, you can click on and get everything. So you get the replay of the Roundtable. You get it live. You get all of our radio shows, all of our content, all of the podcasts that are there. So we're really happy to be here, and hopefully we'll be coming back again for training camp and have the access that we have here for everybody at Silver and Black Productions. I'm JT. Thanks for being here with us. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope the Raiders have a healthy offseason, and we'll see you next time on Raiders Roundtable.